Chapter 32-25. Chen Zhao had to admit that Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing's suggestion gave him an idea. Find trouble for Zhang Tianyi, such as Bifla, 23rd generation Blood Mary, or Old John to find trouble for him. Of course, it wasn't money. Those guys couldn't be moved by money. Chen Zhao called Bifla. But it wasn't Bifla who answered. It was his disciple. Bifla was in seclusion. Chen Zhao called 23rd Blood Mary's number. Hey, Chen, why are you looking for me? You're fighting. Yes, I'm busy now. If there's nothing else, call me in 3 days. You're in big trouble. It's just a small problem. It's just a little complicated. The 23rd generation Blood Mary wasn't in a hurry, but her tone was a little impatient. Can you get someone else to help you with that? You want to help me? The 23rd generation Blood Mary was a little surprised. From her understanding of Chen Zhao, she knew that he didn't like to get involved in trouble. To be honest, her current problem could be solved by herself. Chen Zhao was using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. No, I mean you can find someone else to help. For a moment, Mary didn't understand Chen Zhao's intentions. He wasn't going to help her and suggested that she find someone else. Was she crazy? I'll pay you 5 fragments of the Divine Kingdom. You can pick the element. You can find someone else to help, like Celestial Master Zhang. Mary, the 23rd Blood, finally understood what Chen Zhao meant. He was giving Zhang Tianyi trouble. She didn't know his intentions, but she understood what he was trying to say. If Celestial Master Zhang comes, he'll probably solve it in half a day. Mary meant that Chen Zhao's price was enough to stall Zhang Tianyi for half a day. Mary meant that Chen Zhao's price was enough for her to stall Zhang Tianyi for half a day. Then never mind. You can solve it yourself. Don't bother Celestial Master Zhang with the small problem. I'll go see if old John has any trouble for Celestial Master Zhang. 30 fragments of the Divine Kingdom. The 23rd Blood Mary stated her price, 30 fragments of the Divine Kingdom, and I'll help you stall Celestial Master Zhang for 3 days. Chen Zhao sneered. 30 fragments of the Divine Kingdom could almost be pieced together to form a complete Divine Kingdom. It wasn't like he was asking the 23rd Blood Mary to go through hell or hell. Why would Chen Zhao give such a high price? A fragment of a Divine Kingdom might not be worth much to them. They had personally sent an entire god race to their deaths. Each of them had a sea of Divine Kingdom fragments in their hands. But on the black market, or in other words, to trade with someone of the same level. That was an astronomical price. However, none of them lacked money, and the fragments of the Divine Kingdom had a different meaning to them. Therefore, it was basically impossible for it to exist in the market. Blood Mary, I only want you, Heavenly Master Qin Zhang, to be my guest for a few days. I'm not asking you to slay a god. I'd rather kill a god. He's much harder to deal with than a god. Now, the few of them could confidently say that they had slain a god. After all, they were people who had slain a god. 10 Divine Nation fragments. This is the highest price I can offer. Perhaps Zhang Tianyi was even more difficult to deal with than the gods. But the 23rd Blood Mary was not in any danger. 10 Divine Kingdom fragments is too low. Besides, the number of Divine Kingdom fragments you have is more than the 3 of us combined. You shouldn't be so stingy. You sound like you have fewer Divine Kingdom fragments. In fact, the 23rd Blood Mary's number of Divine Kingdom fragments was second only to Chen Zhao's. It was almost half of Chen Zhao's. My Divine Kingdom fragments consume a lot. Don't lie to me. What do you have to consume? Are you going to smash people with the Divine Kingdom every day? I'm studying the Divine Kingdom. Didn't you already build your own Divine Kingdom? I did, but that doesn't mean I'm satisfied with the current state. The 23rd Blood Mary did not lie to Qin Zhao about this. However, the 23rd Blood Mary was just bullying Qin Zhao for being an amateur. Even if she was studying the Divine Kingdom, it did not mean that she would destroy the fragments while studying them. Moreover, studying the Divine Kingdom was not like smashing the fragments into water. Of course, anyone would want to have as many of such good things as possible. Qin Zhao did not have much need for the fragments. However, it did not mean that they were completely useless. Moreover, it did not mean that they would be useless in the future. 10 fragments are too low. At least 15. That's impossible. Just 10. If you accept this deal, I'll immediately send you the God Kingdom fragment. If you don't accept it, I won't force you either. I believe that one God Kingdom fragment is more than enough to deal with Celestial Master Zhang. In the end, the 23rd Blood Mary did not accept Qin Zhao's offer. Qin Zhao thought about it and still called John Sr. Qin Zhao was not very familiar with John Sr., but they had met a few times. They were on good terms. John Sr. had never entered the Shangqing realm, but his status was there. Even if he was a regular person, Qin Zhao had no right to look down on him. Hey, John Sr., it's me. I know, Qin. What's up? Are you interested in the fragments? You want to sell them? John Sr. and Qin Zhao were not on the same side. He was not a member of their group. He knew that the 23rd Blood Mary suddenly had a fragment. He did not know where it came from. However, he was sure. Qin Zhao and the others definitely had them too. John Sr. knew that the fragments were very useful. But he did not have them. Even if he wanted to study them, he could not. He did not expect Qin Zhao to come to him voluntarily. What's the price? John Sr. was smart. He knew that there was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. So, he asked for the price directly. If he could buy it with money, that would be the best. As for other conditions, he had to think about it first. Qin Zhao chuckled. It's free. John Sr.'s head hurt even more. Free was the most expensive thing. Qin, how about I owe you a favor? I need this favor now. John Sr. sighed. As expected, Qin Zhao still had something to trouble him with. Something that could make Qin Zhao ask for help. Then it would definitely be big trouble. However, he still hoped that he would be lucky. Perhaps it was something he could solve. What is it? Invite Celestial Master Zhang to the Vatican as a guest for a while, or find something for him. John Sr. frowned. This was easy. But what did Qin Zhao want to do? Was he going to attack Dragon Tiger Mountain, so he wanted him to send Zhang Tianyi away? If that was the case, he would not dare to accept it. What do you want to do? I plan to return to China for a few days. John Sr. was stunned, but then he remembered that Qin Zhao had returned to China last year and was dragged by Zhang Tianyi to do hard labor. This was not a secret in their circle. Chapter 32-26. John Sr. vaguely guessed Qin Zhao's intentions. He was probably traumatized by Zhang Tianyi's scheme last year. I can invite Zhang Tianyi to the Vatican as a guest, but I can't control him. I can't decide when he leaves. 2 Divine Kingdom fragments. Find something for him to do. For example, something that crawls out of your ancestral tombs and has to be taken care of by him. John Sr. was silent for a moment. 5 fragments. After all, if I want to keep Celestial Master Zhang, I need to open 1 or 2 dangerous seals. 3 at most. After all, I don't have that many fragments on hand. You should understand the origin of these fragments. They aren't some random trash that can be found on the side of the road. If you want to kill a god and then destroy their god's kingdom, every single fragment is worth a fortune. Okay, 3. I'll accept this price. Chen Zhao grinned. Those who hadn't seen the world were easy to trick. The 23rd generation Blood Mary asked for 30 Divine Kingdom fragments. John Sr. only asked for 3. Of course, it wasn't because John Sr. was cheaper. This was because Divine Kingdom fragments were extremely rare to him. But to Chen Zhao and the others, they weren't that tempting. Of course, this was also because the angle was different. If it was the 23rd generation Blood Mary from half a year ago, she could give up her life for a fragment. Back then, she didn't have anything without the fragment. But now, the fragments in her hands could be used as popcorn. John Sr. knew too little about the fragments. He only knew their origins and a few uses. It was this small understanding that made him feel that the fragments were unattainable. What do you plan to do? Chen Zhao asked. I plan to undo the seal on the King of Evil Spirits. Don't go overboard. I'm not responsible for you. Don't worry. The King of Evil Spirits isn't a big threat. It's just troublesome and hard to destroy. John Sr.'s tone was rather casual. Chen Zhao trusted John Sr. too. At least, John Sr. was more reliable than Zhang Tianyi on some things. Of course, there were only a few who were reliable. He didn't know if it was because older people were more jumpy. Zhang Tianyi was like that. John Sr. was similar. Of course, this kind of jump was based on the prerequisite of their strength. With old John's guarantee, Chen Zhao was relieved. Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing were really confused by Chen Zhao's super high standard of reception. The cost of the trip for the next few days would be terrifying. In a week's time, they had played all the open projects on the mystical island. He ate everything that could be eaten, no matter how expensive it was. Before he left, he gave each of them a small gift. A pure gold, 100-gram golden statue of the Guardian. Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing knew about this statue. It was said that it was a limited edition in the world, and there were only 999 of them. Apart from gold, it was also forged with the blood of the Guardian. It was said that the blood was shed during the battle between the World Guardians and the King of Beasts. Then, they were collected. At least, that was what the advertisement said. If it was just the weight of gold, it would only be 30 to 40,000 yuan. However, if the commemorative value was taken into account, the value would be at least 20 times higher. Then, a ridiculously large private jet sent them directly back to China. Actually, Chen Zhao's original plan was for them to take a cruise on the way back and forth, so that they could enjoy the charm of a top-class cruise on the sea. However, the speed of the cruise ship was too slow. Chen Zhao could wait, but Zhang Ting was firmly against it. If the entire company boarded the cruise ship and came over, it would take at least 10 to 20 days. One round trip and the time spent on vacation. 50 days had passed. A round trip, plus the time spent on sightseeing, 50 days had passed. The movie project wouldn't be able to proceed. In the end, Zhang Ting even threatened Chen Zhao with leaving. Zhang Ting was indeed a talent. Even though Chen Zhao's original goal was to make them a think tank. Even though Chen Zhao's initial goal was to have them act as a think tank. But Zhang Ting still managed the company in good order. She didn't just have dreams. She also had the ability to realize them. Back then, Chen Zhao had bought Zhang Ting's studio. It wasn't because she wasn't capable enough. It was because the environment wasn't good enough. Take the current situation of the domestic animation industry for example. It was built with the corpses of countless animation companies. Their company might still be losing money right now. But in reality, the company had improved a lot. Chen Zhao actually paid attention to animation companies too. Chen Zhao bought the studio and then turned it into a company. After an entire year, the first quarter was a pure loss. They didn't make a single cent. In the second quarter, they started to make profits. At the current stage, they were still losing money. However, it wasn't a loss. It was just a negative profit. In other words, their profitability had been shown. They had invested the money they needed for the next quarter in this quarter. Except for the movie project they were working on now. Actually, their company's books were already doing quite well. Many animation companies didn't even have any profit. The person in charge of the company could only find investors with his glib tongue. He would give a telescope to the investors to show that he had to look at the long term and catch a big fish. This made it harder and harder for animation companies to get investments. However, the improvement of the environment in the past 2 years also gave animation companies a chance to survive. In the past, animation companies relied purely on the country's subsidies to survive. Some companies were only willing to make crappy cartoons to survive. For example, 7 or 8 years ago, a company had to make 2,000 minutes of 3D cartoons to get a subsidy of 1,000 per minute, which was 2 million yuan. This was also the reason why there were so many crappy 3D cartoons back then. In order to eat 2 million yuan, they had to do their best to reduce the cost of a 2,000-minute 3D cartoon. Usually, a normal 3D cartoon would cost a few thousand per minute, and this didn't include the abandoned scenes. The reason why subsidies were called subsidies was that they were given when the environment could not bring profits. However, those crappy companies reduced the cost of a few thousand per minute to a few hundred or even a few dozen. One could imagine how bad the quality would be. It couldn't even be described as bad, but as bad. Of course, the rise of domestic animation didn't rely on those crappy companies. It relied on companies like Enchanting, which had their own dreams and dignity. The environment was much better now. It still couldn't reach the level of a complete industry chain like America and Japan. At least, it was much better than 7 or 10 years ago.
Chapter 3227 03227 After sending off the staff of the animation company, Qin Zhao felt much better. He also felt much more relaxed. Qin Zhao only had a fixed amount of time every day. That was to enter the 12th floor of the Tower of Trials and comprehend the fire of the first. Now, Qin Zhao's cultivation was almost stagnant. The small world had already taken shape. When fully expanded, it could reach a diameter of 10 kilometers. The inner world itself was infinitely large. However, the more it expanded, the greater the burden on the body. Only the fire of the first could continuously strengthen Qin Zhao's physique. The function of the fire of the first was to optimize Qin Zhao's genes. Of course, for Qin Zhao, his physique was his foundation. Qin Zhao was a strength type, after all. Therefore, strengthening his physique also increased the upper limit of his strength. However, the fire of the first only strengthened his physique bit by bit. The more he comprehended, the less obvious the effect was. If it was a normal demon, if it was not burned to ashes by the fire of the first, it could be strengthened into a super god in minutes. But now, Qin Zhao was already at an extremely high level. The enhancement he could get was barely satisfactory. However, even if the effect was not strong, it was still there. Qin Zhao had already condensed the fire of the first. The power of the fire of the first was very ordinary. It was not used for attack in the first place. The lethality of the fire of the first was mainly reflected in killing weak people in one shot without hesitation. For strong people, it was the level of a sauna. The mysterious island opened for a month. The development of the mysterious island took another big step forward. The last time Amon appeared, someone posted it on the internet. This caused the mysterious island to experience a surge of tourists in the next few days. The daily number of tourists reached 300,000. After a few days, it started to fall again. However, it remained stable at around 150,000. This number was almost 4 times that of the Hawaiian Islands. Because of the existence of the mysterious island, the number of tourists in the Hawaiian Islands decreased sharply. It was almost less than half of the normal situation. The Hawaiian Islands also protested and even used the power of the media. Unfortunately, the mysterious island itself was a huge group of interests. The interests of the Hawaiian Islands were not as influential as the mysterious island in all aspects. Therefore, this kind of ridiculous accusation was meaningless. The two islands mainly focused on tourism. In the end, the final winner would be the tourists. In the short term, the mysterious island was undoubtedly the winner. In fact, in the long run, there was no reason for Mysterious Island to lose.
The reason why the Hawaiian Islands were able to become a holiday destination was because of their excellent geographical resources. However, in today's world, a geographical location like the Hawaiian Islands was not advantageous at all. For example, in Southeast Asia, there were countless tropical and subtropical islands and tourist cities. Furthermore, the Hawaiian Islands were considered a high-spending tourist area. In this regard, the consistent policy of the Hawaiian Islands has been maintained very well. It was to emphasize the quality of the Hawaiian Islands. As a result, people often yearned for the Hawaiian Islands when they had the same amount of vacation resources. But now, a magical island had appeared out of nowhere. Other than the fact that Mysterious Island had a geographical environment that was not inferior to the Hawaiian Islands, Mysterious Island also had a unique environment. At the same time, it also had unparalleled biological resources. Among them was the world-famous guardian Amon. Amon was like a calling card that Wonderland handed to the whole world. Amon had also given the island a special mission. The mysterious island was mysterious and magical. The monthly GDP of Mysterious Island had already reached $300 billion. Chen Zhao and the other shareholders of Mystery Island earned a net profit of $4 billion. Of course, a large part of this income came from the fanatical fans in the early stages. It would stabilize in the later stages, but it would also last longer. According to the calculations of the board of directors, the first year's GDP would reach $2 trillion. It would also bring in more than $30 billion in net income for the shareholders. When this data was announced, the investment world was in an uproar. All the shareholders felt that Wonderland was the best investment they had made in their lives. Even though Wonderland was not listed, people had already evaluated it. At the same time, Wonderland was fortunate enough to become the asset with the highest valuation in the world. Of course, it was because of the amazing potential that Wonderland had displayed. Therefore, the shareholders unanimously agreed to increase the investment in the second and third phases of the Wonderland project. They would also increase the investment. These investments were all foreseeable returns. The traffic throughput of Wonderland was also an important factor that limited the island's growth. Therefore, the expansion of the airport and port was imperative. In addition, after a discussion with the mayor of Los Angeles, the board of directors decided to build an undersea road. A $15 billion undersea road. The road would be paved at the bottom of the sea and the entire top would be paved with ultra-outstanding glass. It was precisely because of this extremely expensive investment that Mysterious Island and Los Angeles had become a link. A large portion of Wonderland's traffic would flow to Los Angeles. Los Angeles would also bring more tourists to Wonderland. This was a win-win cooperation. Although the investment was huge, the undersea road would also become a unique scenery. Recommend an app. Like the old book collection artifact has been revived. You can exchange all the original books. Of course, the construction of this undersea road was extremely difficult. Felwood Scott wanted to monopolize this huge cake, but they could not complete such a complicated and huge project alone. What Qin Zhao did not expect was that this project would be won by a Chinese engineering company. Qin Zhao did not participate in the decision of the bidding. This time, the bidding was from the most famous engineering company in the world. Qin Zhao also hoped that the best company would be in charge of this project. Therefore, even though he had a personal relationship with Felwood Scott, he would not be biased in this kind of thing. Unlike ordinary ground projects, the effects of the engineering products of a small company and a large company were similar. However, the undersea road did not only require a strong construction ability. There were many more problems to consider, such as the pressure of the sea. If any part of the road was hit by a bomb, even the slightest bit of damage would be a destructive blow to the entire road. However, the Chinese engineering company actually took a different approach and built a double-layer pipeline road. In other words, there would be 2 layers of glass. One layer would be at the outer layer and directly resist the pressure of the sea. The other layer would be at the inner layer. Even if the inner layer was damaged, the outer layer would still be there. It would not destroy the entire undersea road. In addition, to ensure 100% safety, the Chinese company also proposed a unique idea. They would hire spiritualists to add magical protection to the entire undersea road. It was also this suggestion that made the Chinese company stand out and win the bidding in the end. Chapter 32:28. Chen, I'm ready. I can bring the crew to China at any time. I still need to communicate with the other party. It'll probably be in 2 or 3 days. Since Stephen was ready, Chen Zhao had to let old John take action too. After confirming with Stephen, Chen Zhao immediately called old John. Old John, I'm going back to China in 2 days. You can start now. Sure. Old John was rather straightforward. At least they were quite satisfied with this cooperation. Chen Zhao felt that a piece of the Holy Kingdom in exchange for peace was too good. Old John felt that Chen Zhao was a wastrel. A piece of the Holy Kingdom in exchange for a small favor. This was like a pie falling from the sky. Old John quickly gathered his men. Then old John and the group of archbishops arrived in front of an ancient tomb. Old John waved his hand. The archbishops walked up and started setting up a magic array. They knew why old John was here. To release the king of evil spirits that had been sealed for thousands of years. They wouldn't question why old John would release the king of evil spirits. They knew that old John must have his own reasons. As for whether old John would fall or not, they didn't care at all. They knew better than anyone else. There had never been a true fall in this world. The so-called fall was more often an excuse to get rid of those who didn't agree. After the archbishops finished setting up the magic array, old John walked up and embedded a metal hexagram into the tombstone. Crack, there seemed to be a mechanical sound coming from the tomb. Before long, the ancient tomb was opened. But it wasn't an extra entrance. Instead, the tomb opened like a flower petal, revealing the seal inside. Old John walked up calmly and looked around. One of the archbishops nodded at old John. Old John placed the hexagram in the center of the seal again. In an instant, black gas began to seep out from the runes of the seal. The black gas gradually formed a terrifying ghost face. The ghost face pounced at old John without hesitation. But the next moment, blinding golden light exploded from old John's body. Old John clapped his hand and the ghost face collapsed. But not long after, the ghost face condensed again. Not only did old John's palm not hurt it, but it became even more solid after reforming. Old human, you're the current pope. Yes, I am. Did you release me as well? Yes. It seems like even a shepherd who believes in God will betray God. What do you want from me? Old John calmly looked at the evil spirit king. What can you give me? As long as you want it, I can give it to you, the evil spirit king replied. Well, then give me everything I want. Old John opened his arms. The Wraith King lunged at John Sr.'s body again. This time, Old John did not attack the Wraith King. He did not even dodge. He allowed the evil spirit king to possess him. The evil spirit king was overjoyed. This human old man must have gone senile. He actually gave his body to her. This fellow was a genuine pope. As long as he controlled this body, he could do whatever he wanted. But after entering Old John's body, he found that he could not control this body. How is this possible? How did this happen? The evil spirit king didn't feel like it was controlling its body at all. In the next instant, a burst of holy light erupted from John Sr.'s body, directly expelling the evil spirit king from his body. Seems like you can't give me anything at all, the evil spirit king was furious. Old John was clearly toying with him. I will kill you. The black smoke on the evil spirit king's body rumbled. The black smoke then turned into evil spirits, baring their fangs and claws as they lunged at Old John. Old John grasped the air with one hand and all the evil spirits were instantly crushed. The evil spirit king was startled. He was so happy just now that he forgot that this guy was still a pope. Old John crooked his finger. Again, the evil spirit king's body suddenly collapsed, turning into countless evil spirits that fled in all directions. However, after the evil spirit king split itself up, the evil spirits all crashed into an invisible barrier. The 5 archbishops had already prepared an inescapable net. The evil spirit king wanted to split itself into parts to escape, but that was obviously impossible in front of Old John. The evil spirit king had no choice but to return to its original body. Old human geezer, let me out. Otherwise, I will kill all of you. Old John smiled at the evil spirit king. That's if you can do it, human old man. I possess an undying body. I know. Old John naturally knew the evil spirit king's origin. He also knew what he was capable of. The evil spirit king was very hard to kill. From a certain point of view, he did have an undying body. But this undying body wasn't absolute. In other words, there was still a way to kill him. There was a way in the past, and there is still a way now. And unlike the past, killing the evil spirit king in the past required a great price. Killing him now would only be troublesome. The evil spirit king saw that Old John was stubborn and powerful. Deciding to change his target, he charged straight at an archbishop who was standing at the foot of the formation. Golden tentacles suddenly extended from behind the archbishop. The tentacles wrapped around the evil spirit king and crushed him. The evil spirit king reformed his body again, but at the same time, he was shocked. How could that archbishop be even more powerful than this pope? Even more powerful than the pope who once sealed him. The evil spirit king decided to change targets, the archbishop standing at the other end of the formation. As a result, that archbishop was equally arrogant. Golden light erupted behind him, and a golden god of war appeared, killing the evil spirit king with one slash. The evil spirit king felt stifled. Why were all the archbishops stronger than the pope? That's right, they were indeed stronger than Old John. At least in terms of individual cultivation, the 5 archbishops all had the power to crush Old John. Times had changed. The evil spirit king was powerful. But he had long since left this era. In this era, he was a terrifying existence many times stronger than the evil spirit king. Even they were honest and kept a low profile. The evil spirit king still thought this was medieval Europe. Although the spirit energy depletion period had just ended, because the church's influence was spread all over the world. Plus, the mainstream countries around the world were in a period of peace. So the church's power and believers had reached unprecedented heights. Plus, the spread of information and the spirit energy tide had come again. Many old cultivators who had been in seclusion had awakened again. So the current church was many times stronger than before. Not to mention a mere evil spirit king, even if there were 10 times more enemies, 10 times stronger enemies, they could still easily wipe them out. Chapter 32-29. Celestial Master, I'm John. Hello, John. What can I do for you? I want to ask you for a favor. John, if it's a problem that even you can't solve, I'm afraid I can't help you either. No, it's indeed a favor that only you can help. Tell me, what is it? In the Vatican, there's a vicious evil spirit sealed. It used to wreak havoc in the Middle Ages for decades and was later sealed by our church. Not long ago, this evil spirit broke the seal and escaped. It's just an evil spirit, and your church can't destroy it. Zhang Tianyi suspected that John Sr. was joking with him. Why would an evil spirit need the church's help? You're not kidding me, right? It's not difficult to destroy this evil spirit, but it's difficult to seal it again. John Sr. knew that it was difficult to deceive him with a simple lie. Therefore, his words were mixed with lies. Is there anything special about this evil spirit? When he practiced Holy Spirit summoning, he didn't summon an angel, but a fallen angel. The fallen angel destroyed his body, and he took over the body of the fallen angel. A church monk taking over the body of a fallen angel is very evil, so he suffered the wrath of heaven. Half of his soul escaped from the body of the fallen angel and returned to the church. It has been in a deep sleep for hundreds of years, while the other half merged with the fallen angel's soul and became the evil spirit king. For hundreds of years, our church has been purifying the evil spirit king. It was progressing smoothly, but after the spirit tide began, the seal began to loosen. Until yesterday, he escaped the seal. Now, he is trapped by several archbishops of our church, but if we want to seal the evil spirit king, we need your help. I see. Zhang Tianyi hesitated for a moment and said, then I'll arrange it. I'll go over in a few days. It's at the Vatican, right? Yes, it's at the Vatican, but can you hurry? I'm afraid that he will escape. This evil spirit king is a great threat to ordinary people. He devoured tens of thousands of people in the Middle Ages, and every soul he devoured was an extra life for him. In other words, wanted to kill him completely. We'll need to destroy him tens of thousands of times. If he escapes, he'll become a big problem. But I've already sent a private plane to pick you up, Celestial Master Zhang. Then, all right. Zhang Tianyi couldn't refuse anymore. That evil spirit king was probably quite fierce. What could make old John so worried? A private plane to pick up Zhang Tianyi. John Sr. called Qin Zhao. Qin. Celestial Master Zhang is already on his way to the Vatican. Qin Zhao was delighted. You want the plane to slow down. The longer the better. Oh right. What if your plane crashes? I'll give you an extra Divine Kingdom fragment. Qin. The pilot is an ordinary person, and there are a few flight attendants on board. Then forget it. Pretend I didn't say anything. What if it wasn't the crew up there? Qin Zhao even wanted to take a photo of the plane himself. After hanging up, he called Stephen. Stephen. Get ready for our flight tonight. Tonight? So urgent. You should have at least told me beforehand. You and the entire crew's pay will be increased by 5%. Then I'm fine. I'll inform the crew now. As long as you're here. Just checking the machines and stuff. So urgent. Time is money, my friend. All right. Steven hurriedly informed all the crew members of the filming plan. Steven was the director and Chen Zhao was the leader. Thus, all the crew members of the Guardian of the Sea documentary accepted the project without hesitation. Chen Zhao booked a plane right away. He'd originally planned on using his private plane, but his plane was too slow. However, his plane was too slow. It originally took 20 hours to fly from the US to China. His big plane would take at least 40 hours. Thus, Chen Zhao booked the fastest plane. If Concorde wasn't retired, Chen Zhao would have booked it too. After a 20-hour flight, the crew was all very tired. Chen Zhao really hoped that they could film directly. However, if he said that, Steven would probably fall out with him. So, he'd let them rest first. Yi Ziqing, we're almost at the hotel. Get ready. Don't worry, boss. Yi Ziqing was still very happy. Chen Zhao had asked her to do something for him when he returned. Soon, a few commercial cars stopped at the entrance of the hotel. Yi Ziqing immediately walked up and opened the door for Chen Zhao. Boss. Yes. Yi Ziqing looked at Steven, who'd alighted with Chen Zhao. She couldn't help but feel excited. Boss, is there something between you and Mr. Steven? It's also a documentary project, Chen Zhao said casually. Is there anything else I can do? Nothing for now. Bring these foreigners to check in first, Chen Zhao said. Then he turned to Steven. Go wash up. Then I'll take you guys to eat something good. An hour later, Chen Zhao brought Steven and the film crew to a famous market in the city. The nightlife in America was completely different from that in China. The nightlife in the United States was mostly bars, nightclubs, or commercial streets. It was much more abundant in China, mainly because it was too safe. Even in the middle of the night, you wouldn't encounter any danger on the streets. In America, you could walk on the streets in the city. You'd encounter 3 robberies in an hour. 2 of them even had guns. One of them might just shoot you. In China, if you walked on the streets in the middle of the night, you'd most likely be sent home by the police. A group of foreigners who were tired of the nightclubs and bars were really attracted by the bustling food street. Every shop had something to offer. Shanghai was also an international metropolis, so it wasn't strange to see so many foreigners. Chen Zhao gave each of them a phone they could use in China. If they needed help, they could use this phone. Chen Zhao brought Steven away. Steven, let's go see an old friend. Old friend? China. Of course. Did you forget Wang He, who used to be your actor? Oh, I remember. In fact, Wang He often contacted him. But most of the time, it was Wang He who contacted him. It was basically the kind of greetings between familiar strangers. Chapter 3230. Wang He, where are you now? President Chen, I'm at home. You told me not to leave Shanghai today no matter what. What's going on? I'm back. Where's your home? Send me the address. Huh? Why didn't you tell me earlier so I could welcome you? Cut the crap. Give me the address. I'll go book a Michelin restaurant now. Is it inconvenient to go to your home? Not really. Is it convenient or not? If not, I'll go back to the hotel with Steven. Director Steven is here too. Convenient, Wang He said excitedly after a quick thought. He even blamed Chen Zhao for not telling him earlier. If he had, he would have arranged for the paparazzi to secretly take a photo. Tomorrow's headline would be, "The world's top director, Steven, visits Wang He at night." suspected to be the male lead for a new project. Chen Zhao knew what he was thinking, so he didn't tell him. Chen Zhao and Steven arrived outside Wang He's neighborhood. They saw Wang He pushing a woman out. Wang He. Seeing Chen Zhao and Steven, who was wearing sunglasses and a hat, Wang He shivered. The woman with Wang He, who had been reluctant at first, turned around and glanced at Wang He. Ah, you know her. Chen Zhao and Steven walked up and glanced at the woman. She was pretty, but she looked unfamiliar. Your girlfriend? Ah, yeah. Wang He was a bit embarrassed. The woman was an artist from his company. Her name was Zhou Lin. They weren't in a romantic relationship. They just needed each other and Wang He had given her more resources. But he had to admit it now. He couldn't tell Chen Zhao and Wang He that they were just a money deal, right? Plus, Chen Zhao had shares in his company. When he heard that Chen Zhao and Steven were coming, he was in a hurry to chase the woman away. In the end, Chen Zhao and Steven happened to bump into him. I just got here and you're already going out. No, not going out. I'm taking out the trash, Wang He said awkwardly. Ha. Taking out the trash with your girlfriend. How romantic. Let's not talk here. It'll be troublesome if the paparazzi take a photo. Let's go in. Wang He led Chen Zhao and Steven into the house. Of course, his girlfriend, Zhou Lin, had also returned. Wang He was currently living in a high-end condominium that he had bought. The market price for each square meter was more than 100,000 yuan. It was a super luxurious apartment that was close to 1,000 square meters. Zhou Lin was a little puzzled. She and Wang He had been together for quite some time now. He had seen quite a few of Wang He's friends, but he had never seen these two people before. However, the other person was wrapped up tightly and looked like he was a celebrity. After entering the house, Steven took off his hat and sunglasses. Hi, Wang. Hello. Hello, Steven. When Zhou Lin saw that it was Steven, her eyes widened. Steven was the benefactor who had helped Wang He achieve his current status in the entertainment industry. What was he doing here? Why did he come to look for Wang He? Countless questions flooded Zhou Lin's mind. Wang He led them to the living room. Oh, your house is pretty big. Chen Zhao looked around the room as if he was familiar with it. Zhou Lin sat beside Wang He, sitting upright and still. He hoped that he could get familiar with Steven. At the very least, he could ask Wang He to lend him a hand. Chen Zhao ran to the fridge and took out a bottle of beer. Fuck, isn't this my house's beer? There's not much on the market. Where did you get it? F********. Wang, you're just going to put it in the fridge. Steven snatched the bottle from Chen Zhao's hand. Where else would I put it? Wang He usually drank beer the most. Did he use this to pretend to be a pervert? Usually, important guests came to his house. He first explained the origin of the beer and then the price. He didn't even know that Chen Zhao brewed it himself. Zhou Lin thought that Chen Zhao was just a moonshine merchant. However, she was even more curious. Why did the merchant seem to be so familiar with Steven? And they seemed to have come all the way here. Mr. Steven, do you have a job this time? That guy found a job for me. Ask him, Steven said, pointing at Chen Zhao. At the moment, Chen Zhao was standing by the window and looking at the night view of Shanghai. The view here is really nice. How much is it? I'll buy one later. Zhou Lin thought. You probably won't be able to earn back this house in your lifetime. When I bought it, it was 165,000 per square meter. Mine is 950 square meters, Wang He said. It dropped a little this year. I think it's around 150 million. Chen. You want to buy the house here? Then I'll buy it from you too, Steven said immediately. Anyway, he'd made up his mind now. He would invest in whatever Chen Zhao wanted to invest in. As long as he followed Chen Zhao, he definitely wouldn't lose out. Oh, Chen, I remember that you invested in an animation company in China, right? Do you need me to invest? Chen Zhao flipped his middle finger. Why would I need your investment? It's not like I don't have money. But I'm famous. After I invest, your animation company's market value will multiply. Chen Zhao thought about it. That makes sense. But that animation company, I'm just doing it for fun. I don't expect to make money. Zhou Lin was a bit confused. Who was this guy? Wang He, help me find out how many empty houses there are in this neighborhood. I want to buy 2 and leave 1 for Steven. No problem. Leave it to me. Wang He nodded and said, Mr. Steven, President Chen also invested in our entertainment company. Oh. Chen, you invested in Wang's company too. Not much, Chen Zhao answered casually. Just 100 million. That's only 20% of the shares. Zhou Lin was shocked. So this guy was one of her bosses too. President Chen, our company's market value is already 2 billion. I remember that I gave you our financial report at the beginning of this month. Oh, I didn't notice. He doesn't have time to pay attention to your financial report, Steven said sourly. He spent 2 billion last month. Zhou Lin and Wang He both gasped. Steven continued, I also made some money by following him. President Chen, Brother Chen, please help me. No, I can't. Just focus on your entertainment industry. Don't think about business all day. I can't even do it myself. Wang, I'm serious. Is your company going to expand? I'm really interested in investing. If you agree, I'll give you a main role in my next movie. Wang He was tempted. He couldn't help but look at Chen Zhao. Why are you looking at me? You're the major shareholder. Just don't give me any shares. Mr. Steven, when are you free? I'll get my lawyer to talk to you. I'll give you my contact number. You can talk to my lawyer directly. Chapter 32-31. Zhou Lin couldn't sit still anymore. Even Wang He couldn't help but throw flirtatious glances at Chen Zhao. Unfortunately, Chen Zhao was like a metal block. He couldn't understand Zhou Lin at all. President Chen, are you interested in investing in a local movie? No. Chen Zhao rejected Wang He's suggestion straightforwardly. What a joke. Outsiders investing in the entertainment industry. 9 out of 10 times, he would be swallowed whole. It was the same for Hollywood and the domestic entertainment industry. To stand firm in the entertainment industry, one had to pay tuition first. To put it bluntly, even if Chen Zhao was the richest man in the world, if one dared to enter the trap, they would be tricked. Even in Hollywood, Chen Zhao only invested in Stephen and James movies. No, it wasn't an investment. It was more like lending them money. If the movie made money, it would be their interest. If the movie lost money, it would only be the principal. Chen Zhao would rather buy a house. In fact, that was what he did. For example, he bought a few high-end apartments in Shanghai. But Chen Zhao was quite lucky. The houses he bought after the new year all appreciated slightly. Of course, this was also because of the development of Shanghai. The better Shanghai's economy, the more room it had for appreciation. Chen, I remember you bought a few houses in China. Since I'm in China, let me stay there for a few days. Fuck, you and the film crew are going to the filming location soon. My houses are all new. I don't want them to be polluted by you. Wang He and Zhou Lin's eyes lit up. President Chen, where is Mr. Stevens' documentary going to be filmed? Wang He asked. Dragon Tiger Mountain. Do we have enough people? Chen Zhao looked at Wang He seriously. This documentary isn't about people. Do you still want to appear on screen? Can't I? It's good to have a few scenes anyway, Wang He said. After all, Stevens' previous documentary had attracted worldwide attention. It was more successful than all the shows and movies in China. If he could appear in Stevens' new documentary, he would definitely get a lot of exposure. There's no need for you to appear in the documentary at all. Do you still want to force your way in? It wasn't hard to give Wang He some scenes. The problem was how to make it reasonable. Wang He was a star. Why did he have to be in a documentary? You really can't. Get lost, I'm too embarrassed to even ask for your screen time. Wang He smiled awkwardly and did not continue to force Chen Zhao. Even he himself was embarrassed about this. Although he knew that this documentary was a good opportunity to show his face. However, he could not think of a reasonable way to appear on camera in the documentary. Zhou Lin didn't get a chance to interrupt the entire time. Chen Zhao and Steven stayed in Wang He's house for more than an hour. In the end, Wang He and Zhou Lin personally sent them off. Brother Wang, who is the person who came with Mr. Steven? That's none of your business, Wang He said calmly. In any case, he's not someone we can afford to offend. Wang He had no intention of telling Zhou Lin about his dark history. He seems to be able to talk to Mr. Steven. What do you mean? Don't you see how Mr. Steven looks at his face? Wang He knew very well that he had only been able to get that role because Chen Zhao had agreed to it. When he'd first set up his company, he'd invited Chen Zhao to invest because Chen Zhao had a lot of Hollywood resources. However, he would never tell Zhou Lin about this. This kind of resource was very rare. He would not share it with others. Even now, the domestic entertainment industry was still guessing why Wang He could get Steven's lead role. After all, back then, Wang He was nothing. He was just a has-been celebrity. There were countless celebrities who had better resources and conditions than him. But it just so happened that the unknown Wang He had gotten the role. Chen Ku was the only one who knew the specific reason. And Chen Ku was Chen Zhao's cousin. Both of them were the pillars of the company now. There was no conflict between their market positions. Moreover, Chen Ku was also a shareholder of the company. In the past year, both of them had filmed a movie. The box office was pretty good. Chen Ku worked even harder than Wang He. She also participated in a few variety shows and the results were pretty good. At least, her exposure was the best among all domestic actresses. Box office and looks. She was talented. Plus, she had a likable personality. Therefore, Chen Ku was already one of the top female stars in the country. Wang He looked a little weaker. Actually, it was because of his age. There were a few older movie kings and billion-dollar box office winners in the country. Wang He was at most on par with them. Of course. Wang He's exposure wasn't low either. Now, it was safe for him to maintain his position in the country's A-list. Was it hard to increase one's position? It wouldn't stop suddenly. As long as he didn't get involved in drugs, it was easy for Wang He to maintain his current position. Wang He thought for a moment and called Chen Zhao, who had just left. Chen. Brother Chen, I have something to ask. What? That? About Mr. Stevens' visit today. Can I tell the media? Can I ask? After a dozen seconds. Chen Zhao said, Steven said anything. Just don't go overboard. Wang He was overjoyed. He immediately contacted his agent. He asked his agent to write an article and send it to the cooperating media. In the middle of the night, the entertainment industry exploded. The world's top director visited Wang He's house in the middle of the night. He seemed to have invited Wang He to act in his new movie. It had to explode. Steven's name, be it in China or abroad. It was too useful. Another famous entertainment reporter contacted Wang He's agent. The agent confirmed that Steven had really visited Wang He. He also confirmed that Wang He would act in Steven's new movie. Now, the entire entertainment industry was guessing what connections Wang He had. He'd actually gotten 2 roles in Steven's movies in a row. Only one person knew the situation. Chen Zhao and Steven had just returned to the hotel. 2 women walked over. One was Chen Zhao's cousin, Chen Ku. The other was Chen Ku's assistant. She came to Chen Zhao and Steven. Chen Ku took off her sunglasses. Mr. Steven. How are you? Chen Ku glanced at Chen Zhao. Cousin, why didn't you tell me you came back? I just came back. Chen Zhao scratched his head. Steven. If you're tired, go back to your room first. I want to talk to my cousin. Steven nodded and smiled at Chen Ku. Chen, it's nice to see you again, but I'm really tired now. I took a 20-hour flight. If you're free, let's talk again tomorrow. Chen Ku nodded. Of course. Have a good night's sleep, Chen Ku replied with a smile. Chapter 32-32. Chen Zhao and Chen Ku went to the cafe beside the hotel. Chen Ku's little assistant followed her closely. Chen Zhao, that's too much. When Steven was here, Chen Ku would call Chen Zhao cousin. Now that Steven wasn't here, Chen Ku called Chen Zhao by his name. How am I going too far? Chen Zhao was confused. You just brought Steven to see Wang He. Yeah, what's the problem? Logically speaking, in terms of relationship, I am your cousin. In terms of friendship, I knew you before he did. Besides, I am also a shareholder of the company. Why did you bring Mr. Steven to look for Wang He without informing me when you returned to China? The assistant looked at the 2 cousins curiously. At the same time, she was curious about Chen Zhao's identity. She really didn't know that Chen Ku had a cousin. Don't you think it's weird if I bring Steven to visit you in the middle of the night? At least give me a call, or ask me out for a meal, right? Then let's have dinner tomorrow, Chen Zhao said casually. Mr. Steven, did you come to China to cast a new movie? No, I have a project and I need him to shoot a documentary, Chen Zhao said. Documentary? Can you arrange for me to be in the film? Why are you like Wang He? That's a proper documentary. Don't think too much. Then why did the media say that Mr. Steven came to China to cast a new movie? Even Wang He's agent admitted it. When we were chatting, Steven said that he would invest in your company and give Wang He a role. It's a deal. Also, Steven's new movie hasn't been confirmed yet. I'm also a shareholder of the company. I want a role too. Chen Ku looked at Chen Zhao stubbornly. I'll ask for you later, but I can't promise anything. If Mr. Steven doesn't have one, then Mr. James. I know he has a new movie project. James? I didn't even know he had a new project. It's not just a movie. The female lead is Asian. I want that. I'm not James' dad. Do you really think I can decide this? Of course you can. I saw the entertainment news last time. It said that Steven and James boarded a super cruise ship. That ship is yours, right? Chen Zhao scratched his forehead. Why did he feel like he owed her? I'll try. Chen Zhao, you should be impartial when you do things, right? You gave Wang He a role, and I'm your cousin. Aren't you going to do anything about it? I didn't give it to him. Steven gave it to him. And as I said, it's an exchange of benefits. It's not even a gift. I don't care. Chen Ke acted coquettishly too. She stared straight at him. Do I know where you live? Are you going to say no? I'll buy a plane ticket now and stay at your house every day. Chen Ke didn't know how to threaten Chen Zhao. He could only choose to annoy Chen Zhao. Didn't I say I'll ask for you? Chen Ke was still staring at him. Chen Zhao looked at Chen Ke helplessly. What do you want? Don't tell me you want me to ask for you now. It's 10:00 in the morning there, Chen Ke said. Chen Zhao checked the time. He felt rather helpless. Fine, I'll ask for you now. Chen Zhao picked up his phone and called James. James, are you up? I don't have the habit of sleeping in. Chen, I remember you went to China with Mr. Steven. What's wrong? Do you need my help? I heard that you have a new movie project. Yes. Are you interested in investing? I'm still short on funds for my new movie project. If you need, I can give you my share of the investment. Investment is fine, but I'm not calling you for that. I just want to ask you something. I heard that the female lead of your new movie is an Asian woman. Huh? Do you have anyone suitable? My cousin. I remember you've met her before. If it's convenient, can you give her a chance to audition? No audition. As long as you ask, the female lead will be your cousin's. Huh? Don't you want to think about it? Confirm if the role is suitable for her. A murderous look appeared in Chen Ke's eyes. Chen Zhao could only take back his words. James was rather certain. No need. I believe she's suitable. In the past 2 years, Chen Zhao had helped him a lot. When James needed money for his movie project, Chen Zhao was never stingy with his funding. Sometimes, he had to use his house for filming. Chen Zhao had also generously lent him his house. When there were parties, Chen Zhao would also call him. Moreover, Chen Zhao had pulled him in to invest in Mysterious Island. James had also bought a lot of Mysterious Island shares. Now, his net worth had multiplied 100 times. Back then, he'd invested $50 million. That was almost his entire net worth. But now, someone is offering $5 billion to buy his shares. James was naturally willing to return the favor. Chen Zhao had helped him earn a lot of money. He didn't mind doing Chen Zhao a favor. When will your cousin be free? Let her manager discuss the details. Also, she needs to study the script first. I'll let her know first. Later, I'll have her contact you directly. Okay. When are you going back to LA? We can have a meal together then. I'll contact you when I get back. After hanging up, Chen Zhao glanced at Chen Ke. Okay, you got the role. Chen Ke was a bit dazed. She knew that Chen Zhao and James were close. She didn't expect them to be this close. As an industry insider, she knew better than anyone else. How complicated was the casting process for a main character? And it was a director at James' level. Although he wasn't as good as Steven, he was still a world-famous director. The male and female leads of his movie were basically battlefields for all the agencies. To be able to obtain the male and female protagonists was the spoils of war after a fierce battle. She didn't expect Chen Zhao to get the female lead role with one call. The assistant was also in disbelief. So simple. So simple. He got the female lead role of a Hollywood commercial movie with one call. Sister Chen's cousin felt like he was some kind of big boss. You, go and make an announcement. Just say that director James likes me and I got the female lead role in Perfect Woman. Speechless, Chen Zhao looked at Chen Ku. Is it that urgent? We haven't even signed the contract yet. I trust you. Chen Ku smiled brightly at Chen Zhao. If this doesn't work out, I'm done for. I'll live at your house from now on. Chapter 32-33. He dealt with Chen Ku. Chen Zhao returned to his room and was about to sleep. Just then, Wang He called. President Chen, did you help Chen Ku get the female lead role? Fuck, are you guys from the entertainment circle or the spy circle? I feel like you guys are so well informed that you guys can be spies. It's all over the news. Unless I'm blind. After all, Wang He and Chen Ku were from the same company. Wang He knew the company's resources very well. The only Hollywood resource they had was Chen Zhao. So, Chen Ku suddenly got the female lead role in James' new movie. Moreover, it was a female lead role. Naturally, Wang He guessed that Chen Zhao helped Chen Ku get it. There was no need to guess. They basically had all the resources in the country. But they didn't have any advantage when it came to Hollywood resources. It could only be Chen Zhao. President Chen, you can't be biased, right? Fuck, didn't you get a role too? And it's Stevens. Stevens better than James. That's different. I exchanged my shares for it, and it's a supporting role. Stop it. I really can't help it. I only know 2 people in Hollywood. I owe them 2 favors in one day. We'll talk about it in the future. Fine. I won't make things difficult for you. Wang He had matured a lot in the past 2 years. He knew when to stop, even though he was jealous of Chen Ku's resources. But Chen Ku was Chen Zhao's cousin, after all. Moreover, the more popular Chen Ku was, the higher their company's profits would be. By the way, I've asked Steven and Chen Ku out for dinner tomorrow. Sure, I'll arrange the restaurant. Wang He was very proactive. Then you can arrange it. I'm not familiar with Shanghai. Oh, it'd be best if it's a Chinese restaurant. Steven didn't come to China to eat Western food. I know. Don't worry, President Chin. Brother Wang, how is it? Yes, President Chin helps Chen Ku get the role. Zhou Lin bit her lower lip and looked at Wang He lovingly. Then Brother Wang, can you help me plead with CEO Chin? Help me get a role too. I'm not picky. We'll talk about it later. Wang He also knew that it wasn't good to keep talking in one day. After all, this company only served him and Chen Ku. Naturally, the 2 of them had priority in obtaining resources. Zhou Lin was a C-list or D-list celebrity. Her career was basically one of those who faked their accident. The roles they played were all number 3, 4, and 5, the kind where they weren't as good as the top, but were better than the bottom. The audience found him familiar, but they couldn't remember his name. She accidentally encountered a good role with a good script and became famous. There were too many such artists in the entertainment industry. As for the resources of Hollywood, what a joke. There wasn't even enough for him and Chen Ku. To Zhou Lin. Are you awake? Moreover, she was using a favor to beg Chen Zhao. Wang He would not ask Chen Zhao for Zhou Lin's sake. Because he knew that he and Chen Zhao seemed to be on good terms. But he was the one begging Chen Zhao every time. Therefore, this kind of relationship was very unreliable. Who knew that one day, Chen Zhao would get bored and leave? He was different from Chen Ku. After all, Chen Ku was Chen Zhao's cousin. They were family. But even if he had some friendship with Chen Zhao, he couldn't afford to waste it like this. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, he would not easily ask for a role. Actually, he was quite satisfied with today's results. The call just now was to complain that Chen Zhao did not give him a good role. In reality, it was to show Chen Zhao that he knew when to advance and when to retreat. He wasn't really asking Chen Zhao for a role. You have a movie now. Finish it first. Also, you can't take Hollywood's resources just because you want to. There aren't many movies with Asian female characters in Hollywood. I think there's only James' Perfect Woman in all of Hollywood. Do you want to fight with Chen Ko for a role? Zhou Lin was a bit unhappy. She pouted and said, so what? The company doesn't belong to her alone. Wang He glanced at Zhou Lin. He didn't like this woman who didn't know her place. The company doesn't belong to her alone. But President Chen is her cousin. Who are you to him? If he can help Chen Ko get a role, why should he help you? Also, it's fine if you say this in front of me, but what if it gets to the company? You can just wait to be frozen. Zhou Lin was just complaining. If this really got out, it was basically a woman's jealousy. She probably wouldn't have a place in the company anymore. She thought about Chen Ko's cousin who could do anything. She really couldn't afford to offend him. He had the power to easily get a leading actress in Hollywood. A C-list celebrity like her definitely couldn't compare to him. Zhou Lin might say that she was younger than Chen Ko. Prettier than her. Her acting skills weren't worse than Chen Ko's. She knew very well. Chen Ko could have nothing. As long as she had a cousin, it was enough. In the entertainment industry, connections were more important than anything. It was fine if one wasn't familiar with the business, but having connections was enough. For example, the famous Mr. Numbers and Miss Numbers. Then, Wang He experienced a whole night of friendly calls. They were all from the entertainment industry. Familiar. Those he wasn't familiar with all called him. They beat around the bush to find out Wang He's connections. After all, in just one night. A leading actress who got Steven's role. A leading actress who got James. They wouldn't believe that Wang He didn't have connections in Hollywood. But no matter how much they asked, they couldn't find any connections from Wang He. Wang He himself wouldn't say anything. But he couldn't resist the enthusiasm of his peers. There were even a few company executives who hoped to exchange their resources for Hollywood resources. But Wang He still kept his mouth shut, saying that he was only familiar with Steven. So, Steven would only think of him when there was a suitable role. Seeing that Wang He couldn't get through, they called Chen Ko again. Then Chen Ko was harassed for the whole night. Chen Ko and Wang He were the same. She refused to say anything, saying that Wang He was the one who arranged all her work. She didn't know what Wang He was doing. And after these two pieces of news were announced, the two of them had more shows and more work to do. The entertainment industry was a very realistic industry. Some production teams felt that after their Hollywood movie was released, there was a high possibility that their status would increase. Rather than that, they might as well invite them now. Or, when their Hollywood movies were being screened, they would broadcast their domestic programs, which was simply to ride on their popularity. Many of the jobs and roles were quite good. Chapter 32-34. When Chen Zhao woke up the next day, he realized that the hotel lobby was already filled with entertainment reporters. Thankfully, the hotel's security was quite good. No reporters barged into the floor they booked. Chen Zhao, on the other hand, walked in and out of the hotel casually. After all, no one knew him. Yi Ziqing had also arranged for a professional security team last night. Of course, Chen Zhao paid for Yi Ziqing's security team. The team cost $20,000 a day. There was nothing special about them other than professionalism, and professionalism. They weren't those who wore suits and sunglasses. They were truly professional. They were quite famous in the industry and had served many celebrities and tycoons. At noon, Chen Zhao and Steven went out. With the service of the security team, even if there were entertainment reporters blocking the door. They left the hotel successfully. For some entertainment reporters, be it at home or abroad, they were rather vile. So, Chen Zhao had to treat them seriously. There had been paparazzi who deliberately crashed into celebrities' cars. Then, they would use first-hand news to create a topic. To them, there was nothing they didn't dare to do. They arrived at the restaurant Wang He had arranged. Chen Ke was already there. Wang He had booked the entire restaurant, so they didn't have to worry about people disturbing them. Steven, after this meal, you won't have any good days ahead of you. I feel like I'm going to the execution ground after this. Is the executioner ready? Wang He had hired a chef this time. There were even 2 main dishes. Luckily, everyone had a good appetite, so it wasn't wasted. Steven was quite satisfied with the food. Chen, Wang, next time you go to LA, I'll treat you to the best food. Steven, isn't my restaurant the best? I feel like you're going there for free food again. Steven gave Chen Zhao the middle finger. I have a restaurant too. I recently hired a chef who used to work at a Michelin star restaurant. But my restaurant is still the best. Chen Zhao wouldn't admit defeat in this aspect. It won't be long before the best restaurant in Los Angeles becomes mine. I have ingredients you don't. Don't steal from me in the future if you can. It wasn't the first time Steven had stolen ingredients. Actually, Steven's new restaurant was a mid-range restaurant. The chef from the Michelin star restaurant he'd hired was actually for him. Therefore, Steven's restaurant and Chen Zhao's restaurant basically didn't have much competition. Wang He had a restaurant in Magic City, but even though the restaurant he had invested in was considered a high-end restaurant, it was not a good place. However, his restaurant was still a fan-oriented restaurant. All 3 of them had experience in running their own restaurants, so there were more topics to talk about. Although Chen Ke didn't run a restaurant, she could answer. That way, he wouldn't appear to be left out. Besides, Chen Ke's cooking skills were not bad. At the very least, he was the type that could eat. She even said that if there was a chance, she would invite everyone present to try her cooking. The meal lasted from noon to 3 in the afternoon. Then, they bid their farewells one by one. Chen Zhao and Steven were the least anxious. This was because they had to wait for the filming equipment to be delivered to Mount Longhu. Both Chen Ke and Wang He had work to do. With their status, as long as they wanted to, they could take on more than 30 shows in a month. He earned 1 to 200 million yuan a month. Of course, the consequence of doing so was to hurt his character. After the meal, Chen Zhao told Yi Ziqing to go to Dragon Tiger Mountain first. He had to communicate with the Celestial Master sect of Mount Longhu first. However, Chen Zhao arranged for express delivery. The so-called express delivery was to pay more. Under normal circumstances, the delivery company would do express delivery. If the service staff told you that you didn't have it, it could only mean that you didn't pay enough. Chen Zhao had never received such an answer. On the 3rd day, the consigned equipment arrived at Longhu Mountain's boundary. Yi Ziqing also contacted the person in charge of the Celestial Master sect. When Chen Zhao and the others arrived, an old Taoist priest was in charge of receiving them. The old Taoist priest spoke fluent English, which saved Steven and the others from some of their worries. Hello, Mr. Chen. I'm Priest Wu, the Celestial Master's disciple. I'm in charge of receiving you this time, as well as communicating and cooperating with you during the filming. Hello, do you know me? Yes, Mr. Chen came to Dragon Tiger Mountain last time. I was with the Celestial Master at the time, Priest Wu said. But the Celestial Master didn't say that you would arrive in a few days. We didn't prepare anything either. We're in a hurry, so we didn't inform you in advance, Chen Zhao said. Let's talk about the filming details first. Steven took out a script. Mr. Wu. Take a look. This is the script. At the same time, we need a character. I'm the main character of Dragon Tiger Mountain. In the settings, this person is my friend. I came to Mount Longhu to visit my friend, who is also the connection character. Priest Wu's eyes brightened. Mr. Steven, do you think I'm suitable for this role? It's best if you have some overseas experience. According to this setting, I was supposed to be an international student and then work in my studio. After I came back, I kept in touch. I've taught abroad, Priest Wu said. Chen Zhao was dazed. Taught abroad. Now he came to Dragon Tiger Mountain to be a Taoist priest. Were Taoists so popular now? Steven thought about it. The role had already been set in the script. But these small changes weren't a big problem. Chen Zhao glanced at Priest Wu. He was indeed different from normal Taoists. The feeling he gave Chen Zhao and Steven was that he was wise and peaceful. It could be seen from some of his gestures. He must have stayed abroad before. Not only was his English fluent, but it also didn't have a local accent. Some of the words he used were also quite ordinary. Okay. Take a look at the character's setting. We'll talk as we walk. Oh, when can we see the main character? I'll take you there now. It won't be dangerous, right? Don't worry, Mr. Steven. Dragon Tiger Mountain's guardian beast is psychic. You can talk to him like normal people. He can talk, but he can't speak English. Priest Wu glanced at Chen Zhao. Also, with Mr. Chen here, you don't have to worry. Priest Wu knew that Chen Zhao was very powerful. After all, he'd dared to cause trouble in Mao Mountain's inner sect. Chen Zhao was the only one who could still run around. Steven nodded. Indeed, he was worried about Chen Zhao's safety, which was why he'd strongly requested Chen Zhao to return to China with him. Especially when Chen Zhao had to be present during filming. Chapter 32-35. Priest Wu brought Chen Zhao and Steven to the back of Dragon Tiger Mountain. He stopped in front of a cave with an iron door. This place was halfway up a cliff. The narrow plank path was the only way to get here. Below the cliff was a scenery shrouded in mist. It felt like an immortal's aura. Priest Wu pulled the bronze handle on the iron door and knocked. Just then, a rough voice sounded from inside. The door isn't closed. Come in. Priest Wu pushed the door with force. But it didn't open. Chen Zhao went up to help and pushed the door open. There were lights in the cave, as well as a huge TV. It was still on and playing a program. There was also an exotic beast about 4 meters tall nestled in the corner, looking at the newcomers lazily. It didn't react when it saw Priest Wu. But when it saw Chen Zhao, it paused for a moment. But the moment it saw Steven, it stood up abruptly. Then it jogged to Steven. Hi, I'm your fan. Steven couldn't understand the beast's Mandarin. Originally, when he looked at this exotic beast, he didn't feel any particular fear or dread. After all, after getting used to Amon, other magical beasts didn't look like much. Compared to Amon, the exotic beast in front of him was far too inferior. But when the beast ran up to him, he was still shocked. After all, he didn't know if the beast would bite him. Chen, what did he say? He's your fan. Chen Zhao shrugged. It was his first time seeing such a human-like beast. Mr. Chen, Mr. Stephen, he is the guardian beast of Longhu Mountain's divine master sect, Tongyu. Disappointed, Stephen tugged at Chen Zhao. What's the meaning of this name? Chen Zhao asked Priest Wu. Tongyu is a spiritual beast. He can summon the souls of the netherworld to the real world and send spirits into hell. Download Mimi Reading app to read books for free forever. Can he grow bigger? Stephen asked. Yes, but I'm not good at transformation, Priest Wu answered. Chen, don't you think he's a bit small? Stephen peeked at Tongyu. I think he's so weak. Weak? He's many times stronger than Amon. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. Amon is big. Apart from being big, he's nothing. But this Tongyu, you can think of him as a child born by the world. But it's not big enough, Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. It was indeed difficult to communicate with outsiders. He can summon souls from the world of the dead, and he can also send souls into the world of the dead. You can rely on this aspect in the setting of the plot. Stephen thought for a moment and said, help me tell him if he can summon the souls of the dead. I want to see the effect. Chen Zhao nodded and said to Tongyu, show us your ability. We can't do it here. We have to go to an open space outside. They came to the mountain stream at the bottom of the cliff. Tongyu raised his front paw and slammed it on the ground. In an instant, a hole appeared in the ground. Then, the wound continued to be torn open, growing longer and longer. The crack extended for dozens of meters, and the bottom of the crack burned with flames. Following that, hundreds of spirits emerged from the crack. Stephen couldn't see the spirits, but he could vaguely feel a cold wind. Chen, are there spirits coming out of the crack? Chen Zhao nodded. He said to Tongyu, can you summon some stronger spirits? If you summon these ordinary spirits, can you summon some stronger spirits? Even if you slap them in. The audience can't see them either. Understood. Tongyu immediately understood Chen Zhao's needs. It let out an extremely loud and clear howl towards the sky. Wisps of black smoke rose from the crack. What came out was a huge and terrifying spirit. It wasn't a human soul, but a ferocious beast soul. Is this beast soul really big? Half of its body was already 60 meters long. Black smoke rose from its body. In front of it, Tongyu was like a little chick. But Tongyu opened his mouth and sucked at the huge beast soul. The beast soul was sucked into Tongyu's mouth uncontrollably. Then, he burped. Can you summon bigger ones? Yes, but I can't finish it, Tongyu answered. You eat that? Yeah. What else do you think spiritual beasts eat? Tongyu's answer was very human-like. Maybe it was because he'd interacted with humans for a long time. Tongyu didn't look like a human. Actually, his thought process was no different from humans. Chen Zhao repeated Jailbreak's words to Stephen. Stephen's eyes lit up. He already had a rough idea in his mind. Chen. I have an idea. This crack can be the entrance to hell. It's always existed in the depths of this mountain, and there's always a terrifying evil spirit. Always wanting to lead his evil spirit army to invade the human world. Tongyu's job is to stop that powerful and terrifying evil spirit. It feels a bit like the first documentary, Chen Zhao said. The main character was Amon replaced with Tongyu. The antagonist was changed from the king of magical beasts to an evil spirit. Add some side stories, like Tongyu's past and his feud with the evil spirit. It's all a good gimmick. Anyway, you're the expert in this. You decide the plot. Chen Zhao then helped Stephen tell his thoughts to Tongyu. Tong Yu was very interested in filming and had a lot of ideas. Therefore, when he found out that he had a lot of stories to tell, he was even more excited to tell his story. Then, Chen Zhao and Stephen went down the mountain and returned to the hotel. Stephen needed a complete script. At least, it couldn't have any obvious loopholes. This process took another 3 days. Of course, they didn't have no filming in these 3 days. For example, some scenes related to Priest Wu. First, Priest Wu had to pretend to be an old friend that Stephen hadn't seen for many years. In Stephen's plot, Priest Wu used to be a university lecturer in America. He was also the Stephen he'd met there. Of course, the first part was real, but the second part was fake. After writing the script, Stephen had to go through drafts with Tong Yu. Although Tong Yu was not human, his intelligence was not low, and his memory was very good. It was just that he liked to add his own performances to the mix. Every time he read his lines, he had to use a deep and hoarse voice. Hey, don't use that tone of voice. I want a sense of mystery, not a mature uncle. I feel like I'm a mature uncle in the human world. Stephen had a headache. Amon was much easier to film than this guy. At least Amon wouldn't add scenes. If you keep acting like this, you'd better find another director. Chapter 32-36. The filming didn't go well. The main problem wasn't that Tong Yu didn't cooperate. It was that he had too many scenes and wanted to show off. Stephen didn't want a creature that would look up at the sky at a 45-degree angle every time he recalled something. When communicating with humans, he didn't call them by their names. Instead, he had to call them humans in a superior manner. If he really filmed Tong Yu's true appearance and broadcasted it, people would realize that the main character of the documentary wasn't some high and mighty divine beast. He was just a salted fish. At least according to Stephen's experience in the past few days. The more he knew about Tong Yu, the more speechless he became. He was a real salted fish. The salted fish couldn't be any saltier. Unwilling to go out, gluttonous, undisciplined, and unhygienic, the 4 characteristics of a homebody were displayed vividly on him. Chen Zhao was speechless too. He'd come to make Stephen feel at ease and act as a translator. But during the filming, Chen Zhao's biggest role was to make food for Tong Yu. Apart from Tong Yu's many scenes, there weren't any other problems. He had Dragon Tiger Mountain Celestial Masters sex cooperation. The filming was also at the back of Dragon Tiger Mountain. So there wasn't any danger. Anyone that could threaten the filming crew had basically been killed by Tong Yu. The filming this time was even smoother than Amon's last time. Tong, don't look at the camera. The next scene is a crack in hell opening again and a large army of evil spirits will surge out. When you came, the situation was already very dangerous, but you still followed your duty and did your best to stop the evil spirit army's invasion. When you fought against the evil spirit army, the general of the evil spirit army, who's also the big boss, hid in the army and ambushed you. You were heavily injured, but you still managed to seal the crack in hell. Because of this, you had to return to Dragon Tiger Mountain and ask the cultivators there for help. The general of the evil spirit army. Why not the evil spirit king? I feel like the evil spirit king is more imposing. Do you still want the second season? If this season's results are good, there'll definitely be a second season. You killed the evil spirit king now. What are you going to fight next season? Kill a god. It's not impossible. What about the third season? Fine, I'll listen to you. Tong Yu was convinced. Chen Zhao took out a pack of cigarettes. You guys go ahead. I'll go outside for a smoke. Chen Zhao hadn't smoked in a long time. He wasn't addicted to smoking in the first place, and after he had a kid, he smoked even less. However, after hearing Tong Yu's brainless words for an entire day, Chen Zhao still felt that he needed to go out to relieve his boredom. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stop himself from killing this fellow. Tong Yu's personality was the same as Zhang Tianyi's. Chen Zhao even suspected that this guy was Zhang Tianyi's illegitimate son. Not long after, Stephen's roar echoed throughout the entire mountain stream. Chen Zhao heaved a long sigh. If only he knew that the main character of the documentary was like this. He shouldn't have agreed to Zhang Tianyi back then. Not to mention paying for Zhang Tianyi. They wouldn't come even if they offered money. Chen Zhao considered it. He hadn't left the mountain for a few days. I'm not a professional translator anyway. Priest Wu was with Stephen. Other than appearing in the documentary, Priest Wu was also responsible for translating for Stephen and Prison. So, he decided to go out for a while. The path down the mountain was not easy. But Chen Zhao didn't plan to fly down. Respect Mount Longhu. He decided to walk down the mountain. No sect would allow others to fly above their heads. Moreover, it was a top sect like Mount Longhu. Halfway down, Chen Zhao heard a sound from the forest beside the mountain path. Chen Zhao stopped. He saw a dirty woman rush out. The woman looked sallow and skinny. Her hair was messy. She looked like she'd been raped. Did the woman see Chen Zhao? She was even more excited. She charged toward Chen Zhao. Help! Help! Chen Zhao tilted his head and looked at the woman. Miss? Do you know what happened? My friend and I got lost here. The woman cried hoarsely. She looked like a pretty woman, but she couldn't care about her image right now. Tears and snot flowed out continuously. Wipe her face. Wipe it on her body. Do you have food? Give me something to eat first. Sorry. No. Chen Zhao took out his phone and glanced at it. There's no signal. How about I send you down? I'll call the police. Wait. My friend is still inside. Can you help me carry him out first? He's unconscious, the woman cried. Chen Zhao thought for a moment and agreed to the woman's request. Is it far from here? No, not far. About 1,000 meters. Then lead the way. The woman hesitated. I don't want to go in again. I'm afraid of getting lost again. Can I point you in the right direction? Chen Zhao looked at the woman and said seriously, I'm also afraid of getting lost. If you're not willing to take the risk for your friend, why should I? Or you can go down and call the police now. It'll only take an hour. The woman was clearly afraid and hesitant. She clenched her hands together nervously. Then I'll go with you. Let's go, Chen Zhao said calmly. The woman was a bit slow. It seemed like she wasn't very willing to go forward. Chen Zhao turned back and looked at the woman. What if you're so inactive? I think we should go back now. Wait. Don't go. It's in front. Then go faster. I don't want to see a corpse. The woman was afraid that Chen Zhao would leave, so she could only speed up. It took them more than 10 minutes to walk 1 kilometer. The woman finally brought Chen Zhao to a cave. My friend is in the cave. Help me carry him out. The cave looks dark. Are you sure there's no danger inside? What danger can there be? My friend and I stayed in there for a night. When the woman heard Chen Zhao's question, she was clearly panicking. Her explanation was also messy. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that she was lying. Actually, when Chen Zhao saw the woman, he'd already noticed something suspicious. There was a heavy demonic aura on the woman. At first, Chen Zhao thought that she was a monster. But then he realized that she wasn't. She was just a normal person. She only had such a heavy demonic aura because she'd been in close contact with monsters. Moreover, she was probably close to her mouth. Chen Zhao took out his phone and called Priest Wu. Chen Zhao's phone always had a signal. Dragon Tiger Mountain had full 4G coverage. Chapter 32-37. Chen Zhao picked up his phone and was about to call Priest Wu. Suddenly, a gaping mouth popped out of the cave and bit at Chen Zhao. It was a large snake, and it had a pair of front claws. However, it didn't have any hind limbs. It was just a two-legged snake. It was around 20 meters long. Chen Zhao grabbed the woman's collar and instantly retreated out of the two-legged snake's attack range. The two-legged snake kept pouncing at Chen Zhao. However, after extending for around 20 meters, its body seemed to be frozen and couldn't move any further. Chen Zhao uttered a soft question, but he immediately understood. The two-legged snake must have been sealed in the cave. Then, it used the woman to trick innocent people into feeding the two-legged snake. The two-legged snake tried with all its might in Chen Zhao's direction, but it didn't succeed. It straightened its body and was only half an inch away from Chen Zhao. The pungent smell assaulted Chen Zhao's nostrils. However, Chen Zhao still had a smile and a bit of mockery on his face. He slowly took out his phone and looked at the two-legged snake. If you don't work harder, I'll inform the Taoist priest from Dragon Tiger Mountain. Woman, it's time to use you. The two-legged snake shouted. The woman suddenly pushed Chen Zhao's back. However, Chen Zhao didn't move at all. You're with him. The woman was dumbfounded. Did she use too little strength just now? Chen Zhao looked at the woman with interest. I don't know what you get out of working with a monster like this. Does it give you money or power? The woman made a sad face. I'm poisoned by it. It said that it'll only give me the antidote if I lure 3 people over for it to eat. Chen Zhao glanced at the two-legged snake. You're quite creative. I was forced. I had no choice, the woman cried. Where's your so-called friend? Hee. I already ate him, the two-legged snake said. The two-legged serpent said, this woman lured her friend here without any hesitation. Suddenly, the two-legged snake spat out black smoke at Chen Zhao. The black smoke enveloped Chen Zhao and the woman. Seeing that Chen Zhao was enveloped, the two-legged snake was overjoyed. Ha! Now that you've been poisoned, you'd better listen to me. Otherwise, your entire body will fester and you'll die within 3 days. Is that so? Hee. Your life is now in my hands. You have to believe it even if you don't want to. I can use another method. Chen Zhao looked around. Then he jogged to a nearby place and picked up a rock. Then, it smashed towards the two-legged snake's head. The two-legged snake howled in pain. Human, how dare you? Are you tired of living? Chen Zhao picked up another rock and threw it at the two-legged snake. Anyway, I still have 3 days. If I can't live after 3 days, then I won't let you have it easy. The woman was dumbfounded. She had never seen such a silly person. Anyway, she couldn't be as dumb as Chen Zhao. The two-legged snake shrieked and was about to shrink back into its cave. If you dare to retreat, I will go down the mountain to buy gasoline and pour it into your cave. I don't believe that you are impervious to fire and water. Human, you're going too far. You are a snake, not a human. Chen Zhao threw another rock at it. The two-legged snake didn't understand how Qin Zhao could be so strong. Even with his huge body, he still couldn't take the force of Qin Zhao's rock. Every time the rock landed on its body, it would bleed. The two-legged snake was in so much pain that it wanted to shrink back into its cave. But it was afraid of Qin Zhao's threat. It had never seen such a troublesome human. Even the Taoist priest from Dragon Tiger Mountain was 100 times kinder. Woman, stop this shoal. Do you want to live or not? The woman hesitated for a long time and looked around. Qin Zhao glanced at her. Woman, think about it. Even if you fulfill his conditions and trick 3 people to feed him, will he fulfill his promise? Why don't we force him to take out the antidote now? Anyway, he's trapped. He can't attack us or run away. If he doesn't let us have it easy, we won't let him have it easy either. The woman was silent for a while. Finally, she gritted her teeth and picked up the rock, throwing it at the two-legged snake. She wasn't strong enough to hurt the two-legged snake. But the two-legged snake was furious. Woman, I want you to die a horrible death. All of you. After I get out, I'll make you all die a horrible death. Hey, Wu, it's me, Qin Zhao. I'm in the forest halfway up Dragon Tiger Mountain. Do you know what's here? Oh. Prepare something for me. There's a lot of stuff. I'll text you. Half an hour later, Priest Wu arrived on a 3-wheeled tricycle. The tricycle was filled with all sorts of things. Among them was the gasoline that Qin Zhao had mentioned earlier. Priest Wu parked the tricycle and looked at the two-legged snake in the distance. What's going on? Did this monster offend you? He just sprayed black gas at me and said that I only have 3 days to live. I'm forcing him for the antidote. Priest Wu was speechless. Are you kidding me? How can this snake demon, who hasn't even become a flood dragon, threaten you? Then this woman she's poisoned too. She was threatened to give 2 batches of benefits to the snake demon. Have fun. The film crew is busy. With that, Priest Wu turned to leave. The woman and the snake demon were surprised to see that Qin Zhao was so familiar with the Taoist priest from Dragon Tiger Mountain. The woman saw that Priest Wu didn't panic at all toward the two-legged snake. She immediately guessed that Priest Wu might have a solution. On the other hand, the two-legged snake thought that Qin Zhao might be a cultivator too. This made it even more panicky. If Qin Zhao was a regular person, he could handle it for a while. But if Qin Zhao was a cultivator, the situation was completely different. When a cultivator faced a sealed monster, he had 10,000 ways to make himself wish he was dead. Qin Zhao flipped the tricycle around and picked up a bunch of firecrackers that had been rolled up into a circle. His expression turned malicious. The two-legged snake panicked even more. It immediately yelled, "Human, I'll give you the antidote. I'll give you the antidote. Don't do anything stupid. I don't believe you'll give me the antidote. You're definitely just brushing me off or waiting for me to lower my guard to ambush me." Qin Zhao had already lit the firecrackers. While the two-legged snake was opening its mouth, he threw the firecrackers into its mouth. By the time the two-legged snake reacted, the entire bundle of firecrackers had already been stuffed into its throat. Crack, crack, the two-legged serpent was seething with anger. It was really seething with anger. It felt terrible, really terrible. The firecrackers couldn't hurt it, but it still felt terrible. It had seen disgusting people, but never as disgusting as this. Chapter 32-38. That Taoist knows how to detoxify poisons, right? Why didn't you ask him for help? The woman asked. Qin Zhao glanced at the woman. He doesn't know how to detoxify. We have to find this snake. Then, Chen Zhao looked at the two-legged snake with evil intentions. The look made the two-legged snake's hair stand on end. Human, what exactly do you want? What do you want? It should be what you want. I'm already poisoned. What else do you want? Chen Zhao didn't look like a victim at all. He looked more like the perpetrator. On the other hand, the two-legged snake was the real victim. Chen Zhao searched the tricycle for a long time. He actually found a box of firearms from the anti-Japanese war. He didn't know how the Celestial Master sect got it. And how did they keep it until now? Seeing Chen Zhao, the two-legged snake immediately had a bad feeling. Very bad. When Chen Zhao threw the stone earlier, it only hurt at most. But this thing could really hurt him. The two-legged snake only had 300 years of cultivation. It couldn't even transform. Normally, snakes could choose two paths. One was to transform into a dragon. It would become a serpent in 500 years, then a horned dragon in 500 years, and then a winged dragon in 1,000 years. The other path was to transform into a demon, which was commonly known as a snake demon. If it was a demon, it could transform into a human in 200 years. The two-legged snake walked the path of transforming into a dragon. The two-legged snake was the type with extremely poor talent. It chose the wrong path. It didn't have the potential to transform into a dragon, so it had to take the path. As a result, it couldn't even transform into a serpent after 300 years. It even had to devour living creatures to replenish its energy and condense essence blood. After 300 years of cultivation, he actually transformed into something neither a flood dragon nor a snake. A few decades ago, China was facing a disaster. The two-legged snake took the opportunity to wreak havoc. In the end, it was suppressed here by a Taoist priest from Dragon Tiger Mountain. The priest had his own thoughts. He felt that it wasn't easy for the two-legged snake to cultivate, so he didn't kill it. If it were Chen Zhao, he would have become snake soup already. The two-legged snake looked at the old grenade in Chen Zhao's hand. He had seen the power of this thing. Don't mess around. No rush, no rush. We have all the time in the world. Chen Zhao grinned. Actually, I'm just joking with you. You're not poisoned. How can you die from being poisoned for 3 days? In fact, if a snake wanted to cultivate to become a dragon, it would first have to remove the 2 poisonous fangs and then spit out the poison sac. Without removing the fangs, one could not transform into a dragon. A dragon was the perfect image in the eyes of the Chinese. Dragons, on the other hand, did not belong to the 5 elements and were not tainted by karma. They had reached the perfect celestial being realm. The poison was insidious and could not be left alive. If the snake did not remove its fangs and spit out its venomous sac, it would have died. In the process of cultivation, the power of one's own snake venom would multiply. However, when they shed their snake bodies, they would poison themselves to death. The woman had been terrified at first, but now she was completely numb. When it came to seeking death, Chen Zhao was really good at it. As long as they maintained a safe distance. The two-legged snake couldn't do anything to him. The woman finally understood. He killed 2 of his friends because of his stupidity. Look at Chen Zhao. It had only been half a day. He had already made the two-legged snake kneel down and call him daddy. I told you, you're not poisoned. Even if you want the antidote, I don't have it. Bullshit, you must be lying to me. I'm cultivating to become a dragon from a snake. I haven't even become a dragon yet. Where did the poison come from? I've heard about poisonous dragons. That's a natural dragon. It's not the same as mine, okay? Is that so? Of course. I still don't believe you. The two-legged snake really wanted to cry. I said it so sincerely. What else do you want me to do? You must have the antidote. Of course. The two-legged snake could no longer reply. He had already explained 100 times that Qin Zhao wasn't poisoned. He didn't have the antidote either. But Qin Zhao just didn't believe it. Where could he get the antidote for Qin Zhao? Moreover, he suspected that Qin Zhao didn't want the antidote at all. Qin Zhao just wanted to torture him. That's right, he wanted to torture him. Knives, spears, sticks were all child's play. There were also many guns and ammunition left from the war. There were even more shocking things. For example, sprinkling caltrops on the ground. The two-legged snake jumped onto the ground. Then, a butt full of caltrops. For example, he sprinkled gasoline on the two-legged snake. The two-legged snake was almost broken. I heard that snake venom can be detoxified with snake gall. Give me your gallbladder to cure the poison. Human. You're too much, the two-legged snake roared, flustered and exasperated. He'd never seen such an evil person before. He had some cultivation, but he was the same as a human. He couldn't give his organs to others to play with, right? You have to give it. Even if you don't want to. The woman was completely dumbfounded. Was this guy even human? Why did it feel like he was the real monster? He was so evil that he couldn't be reasoned with. Now, the woman actually pitied the two-legged snake. No more. Qin Zhao glanced at the equipment he'd used up. The two-legged snake could finally sigh in relief. Too scary. This guy was simply the nightmare of his life. Even if all the enemies in this life were added together, they might not be as scary as this guy. That's it for today. I'll come again tomorrow. I hope you'll have the antidote ready. I told you, I don't have the antidote. You're not poisoned, then I don't care. The woman was dumbfounded. How could he say that he'd stop? Aren't you being a little irresponsible by doing this? Qin Zhao couldn't care less. What about me? What about you? You want me to call the police? You gave 2 friends to this snake to eat. A dangerous glint appeared in the woman's eyes. Qin Zhao also saw the viciousness in her eyes. He knew what she was thinking. Don't do something you're not good at. Qin Zhao chuckled at the woman. Martial power. Men still have absolute authority. If you want to kill them, you need to think about it. For example, when I'm not here tonight, discuss with everyone. Acting rashly will only make you die a horrible death. The woman's smile was forced. Sir, I don't know what you're talking about. Ha. It's best that you don't know. After all, I'm not a good person. The woman didn't dare to think anymore. At least, she didn't have the courage to take risks in front of Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao wasn't a good person. It could be seen from how he could calmly deal with the 2 snakes. This man was even more dangerous than the two-legged snake. Just as the woman had said, she needed to think about it carefully. Qin Zhao left rather casually. The woman took a deep breath. Looking at Qin Zhao's back, she didn't leave immediately. Instead, she waited until Qin Zhao left. With a dark expression, she walked toward the two-legged snake. Chapter 32-39. The two-legged snake stared at the woman. Do you want to die? The two-legged snake asked. The woman looked at the two-legged snake calmly. Do you still have the right to threaten me? I can eat you in one bite and you won't be able to resist. But the woman was still as calm as usual, her expression indifferent. Instead, she looked at the two-legged snake with disdain and mockery. It was as if their positions had been switched. You're not afraid of me. You were scared to death before. The woman seemed to not hear the two-legged snake's threat. She stood there calmly and stared at the snake. You won't end up much better than me. Although that person caused a little trouble for me, do you really think that this little trouble can kill me? The two-legged snake was still very confident in itself. That's right. From the beginning, Chen Zhao had not shown any abilities that were out of the ordinary. The Taoist from Dragon Tiger Mountain had also chosen to watch from the side. This made the snake feel that it was safe. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. What if it's like this every day? He seems to enjoy it. How long do you plan on enduring it? It's more painful than death. Hearing this, the two-legged snake fell silent. How are you going to remove this seal? The two-legged snake looked at the woman in surprise. What do you mean? My condition is simple. I'll remove the seal for you and you kill that person. Aren't you afraid that I'll eat you first after I remove the seal? So we need a guarantee so that you won't break your promise. I can swear. Do you think I should believe a snake demon's oath? The woman sneered. I'm not a snake demon. Also, what do you want? The two-legged snake corrected the woman's way of addressing itself. Even the Taoist from Dragon Tiger Mountain thought of itself as a snake demon. However, the two-legged snake always felt that it was not a snake demon. Is there a contract that can at least guarantee that you won't eat me after you break free? If you can guarantee that I can live in your body after I break free, then I don't need any guarantees. You want to take over my body. Take over my body. You're thinking too much. I have my own body, so I don't need yours. I just want to enter the world. Look at me, I'll be beaten to death the moment I leave Mount Longhu. Then how do I know that you won't do anything to harm me? For example, controlling my mind. The two-legged snake couldn't help but roll its eyes. If he had that kind of ability, would he still need to coax and deceive her? The woman also seemed to think that her thoughts were unnecessary. How do I know you won't give me trouble? If you go around eating people and then hide in my body, you will only bring me trouble. As long as you give me enough blood. You want me to continue finding victims for you. Women can sacrifice their friends to protect themselves. But that didn't mean she was willing to continue serving the two-legged snake. If you have money, you can buy livestock for me to eat. For me, humans are not necessary. That's not a problem, but I need a stronger guarantee, not just a verbal promise. Then what kind of guarantee do you want? At the very least, it's a restriction that prevents you from acting recklessly. The two-legged snake naturally didn't want to give the woman a way to restrict him. After all, he was still in a shackle. Of course, he didn't want to jump from one shackle to another. This was the point of their argument. Neither could trust the other. They lacked the most basic trust. Naturally, they couldn't continue working together. The next day, Chen Zhao came again. This time, he brought many new tools. He even brought a sprinkler and a generator. He sprinkled water and generated electricity at the same time. The two-legged snake was tortured to the point that he wanted to die. Chen Zhao played until the sky darkened. Then, he reluctantly said goodbye to the two-legged snake. Not long after Chen Zhao left, the woman came again. How was your day? The two-legged snake didn't speak, but even so, the wounds on his body couldn't be hidden. The two-legged snake stared at the woman for a long time. Then, he stuck out a black bead and said, "This is a poison bead refined from my poison sac. It can ward off poison. For me, if I don't use it for 3 months, I'll be poisoned to death by my own poison." The woman picked up the poison bead. "You gave it to me, so if I destroy or throw it away, you'll definitely die." "Yes." "Then is there such a possibility? Give me the poison bead and I'll help you undo the seal." And when you need the poison bead for the first time. If I give it back to you, I won't be able to restrict you anymore. You can find a cultivator and ask him to teach you how to refine the poison bead. Or I can teach you. Okay. Let's get back to business. How do I undo your seal? The woman was quite satisfied with the snake's sincerity. Actually, the two-legged snake's seal wasn't difficult. She just had to move something in the eye of the formation. The two-legged snake could break free. So, even a regular person could easily undo his seal. Under the two-legged snake's guidance, the woman easily undid the seal. I'm finally free. The two-legged snake shouted excitedly. But just then, a gust of spiritual chi shot out from the undone eye and shot into the sky. The two-legged snake's expression changed. Oh no. What's wrong? There's something sealed in the eye. What? Aren't you the one sealed? No, I'm also part of the seal. The two-legged snake suddenly realized this too. He only noticed it when he saw the change in the eye. Let's go. That thing is coming out. Go. We're not staying. You promised me. Kill that guy. The woman was so determined to kill Chen Zhao. Because Chen Zhao knew about her scandals. She didn't want to go to jail. She didn't want to lose her reputation. She could do it for her life. She tricked her friend here to feed the snake. She could also do it for her reputation and status and escape punishment. She could even kill Chen Zhao, the insider. So, she really didn't want to leave. Stay. If that thing comes out, we'll all die. Even you can't beat it. Are you kidding? You're using the mountain river seal. With me as the core, the thing sealed is probably 100 times stronger than me. If that thing comes out, it can kill us in minutes. Even so, the woman didn't have much love. Plus, she didn't know if the two-legged snake was telling the truth. If that person comes and encounters the sealed thing, he'll die for sure. We don't have to do anything. Hearing that, the woman heaved a sigh of relief. You're sure that person is dead for sure? I'm very sure. Chapter 3240. Mr. Chen, there seems to be a problem with the seal at the back of the mountain. Did you get rid of the snake? No, I had a great time these 2 days. I was planning to stay for a few more days, Chen Zhao replied. Is there a problem? Because he'd realized that the seal on the two-legged snake was strange. Logically speaking, the snake demon could easily be crushed to death. With Dragon Tiger Mountain Celestial Masters sect, they could easily send someone. It wasn't to the point where they could only seal it and not kill it. Most of the time, sealing was a choice made when the enemy couldn't be killed. For example, every time Zhang Tianyi imagined a conflict with Chen Zhao. How would he seal Chen Zhao? He had never been thinking about how to defeat or eliminate Chen Zhao. Because Zhang Tianyi knew very well that it was almost impossible to defeat or kill Chen Zhao. Only a seal could do it. The two-legged snake wasn't at the level where it could only be sealed. Moreover, the seal was strange. It was very weak. The terrain in the forest was also strange. It seemed to be closely related to the seal. Because of this, Chen Zhao didn't kill the two-legged snake. Did you touch something and the seal loosened? Maybe. In that case, you can handle it. If the seal is still there, you don't have to do anything. If the thing inside escapes, please get rid of it, Mr. Chen. Chen Zhao sighed. He felt that he'd created trouble for himself again. But this indeed had something to do with him. He could only clean up after himself. That snake demon can be killed, right? It's not that snake demon, Priest Wu said. That snake demon is actually the seal itself. There's a devil's den suppressed under the seal. There's a 1,000-year-old corpse demon in the den. Old Wu, let me ask you seriously. You've never schemed against me, right? Mr. Chin, what are you talking about? Schemed against you? Whatever, it's fine. Go back to your work. Chen Zhao went to the forest behind Dragon Tiger Mountain. As expected, the two-legged snake was gone. The cave that the two-legged snake had sealed was gone too. Even the small hill was gone. There was only a crack on the ground. There was a huge amount of corpse qi that kept coming out. Chen Zhao had a headache. He was sure that this was a trap set up by Priest Wu. No, this was a trap set up by Zhang Tianyi. He had schemed and schemed, but in the end, he still fell into Zhang Tianyi's scheme. Perhaps he went abroad just to cooperate with his clumsy scheme. Chen Zhao sighed and could only jump into the cave. At this moment, the tomb of the evil spirit king was sealed. John, are you sure you didn't trick me? Zhang Tianyi was confused. The evil spirit king in front of him was also confused. He felt that the old man in front of him was very dangerous. But John Sr. kept stopping Zhang Tianyi. On the day Zhang Tianyi arrived, he wanted to help old John solve his problem as soon as possible. After all, old John's favor was quite valuable. However, he felt that old John was a little strange. This evil spirit king doesn't seem to be as difficult to deal with as I thought. Does it have to be sealed for a few days? If it was him, half a day would be enough to make this evil spirit king retreat for 300 years. But old John didn't kill the king of evil spirits. He was not allowed to seal it. He said that he needed to purify the evil energy in the evil spirit king. He had to wait a few days. After waiting for a long time, the purification was finally finished. Zhang Tianyi thought that he could finally seal it. But old John said that there were other procedures. Old John glanced at Zhang Tianyi gently. Why would I trick you? Fine, tell me how many procedures are there first. Not much. It'll be done soon. I need to leave a mark on his body first. Hurry up. Zhang Tianyi calmed his impatience. The evil spirit king didn't dare to act recklessly. Old John was the Pope of the Church. He was definitely powerful. But what he really cared about was Zhang Tianyi. This old man gave him a very dangerous feeling. Anyway, the evil spirit king didn't want to move now. He just wanted to find a place to cower. Another day passed. Zhang Tianyi couldn't help it anymore. Old John. If I knew it would be so complicated. I should have waited outside first. Zhang Tianyi thought that it would only take an hour. He didn't think that old John's preparation would take a day. Sure. Old John nodded. Wait until I'm ready. Then come down. It's been a day. You're not ready. It's still early. If it's easy. Do you think I need your help? Zhang Tianyi had just left the sealed area and was about to make a call. But he realized that there was no signal. Zhang Tianyi pulled one of old John's followers over. Why is there no signal here? Celestial Master. Because there are many evil beings sealed here. Who knows how they'll escape? That's why almost all methods of communication with the outside world are sealed here. Only the simplest method of physical information transmission is preserved. Fine. Zhang Tianyi put away his phone helplessly. He felt that the church was too cautious. He had never heard of any evil beings that could escape through signals. Do you still think they're artificial intelligence? I shouldn't have agreed to old John's request. So troublesome. Now, Zhang Tianyi understood how Qin Zhao had felt in the past. It was a problem that could be solved in half a day, but he had to drag it out. Another 2 days of waiting. Zhang Tianyi felt that something was wrong. Just then, old John finally called him back to the tomb department. Zhang Tianyi looked at old John. Old John, are you messing with me? It's been 2 days and he doesn't seem to have changed at all. He hasn't changed at all, old John said seriously. You just can't see it. Zhang Tianyi stared at old John. Old John felt a bit awkward under Zhang Tianyi's gaze. I'm very sure now that you're messing with me. Zhang Tianyi said seriously. Really, you're really wrong. Why are you messing with me? Zhang Tianyi looked at old John with certainty. Old John's expression was awkward. Chen Zhao asked me to help. He just wants to invite you over for a few days. Fuck. Zhang Tianyi immediately understood what was going on. Chen Zhao was afraid that Chen Zhao would trick him, so he probably sent him away. Then he secretly ran back to China. Can't this little brat trust me for once? Zhang Tianyi turned to leave, but he came back after 2 steps. What's going on? Did you seal this place? To stall for time. Old John said helplessly. With your ability, you'll need around 10 days to undo the seal. Zhang Tianyi almost had a heart attack from anger. Chapter 32-41. Zhang Tianyi and Chen Zhao had both fallen into a trap. However, he still firmly believed that he had been tricked by Zhang Tianyi. How could there be such a coincidence? Moreover, the 1,000-year corpse demon he killed last night was ridiculously strong. Even Chen Zhao himself found it difficult. Moreover, he had a huge and terrifying army. They called themselves the 1,000-year army. Chen Zhao used almost all his strength. To say that he had encountered such a powerful enemy was a coincidence. Chen Zhao would never believe it. Therefore, Chen Zhao firmly believed that he had been tricked. He hadn't completely wiped out the 1,000-year army either. The main reason was that the environment in the demonic cave was extremely complicated. Chen Zhao had killed a 1,000-year-old corpse demon. If he used a big move, the 1,000-year army could be wiped out. But this demonic cavern was right beneath Mount Longhu. If Chen Zhao used his ultimate move, even Dragon Tiger Mountain would sink by half. At that time, when Zhang Tianyi returned, he was afraid that he would really fight it out with him. Chen, why are you so listless today? If you had a friendly conversation with tens of thousands of strong men at night, you would also be dispirited. Okay, I remember that your sexual orientation is normal. Would you believe me if I told you that I saved the world again last night? I don't believe you. You never had the personality to save the world. Looks like you still don't know me well enough. Chen Zhao lay down lazily on Steven's director's chair. How's your filming going? How much longer? Smoother than I thought, Steven said. He didn't expect that the filming would go so smoothly. It was even smoother than the first documentary. On the one hand, it was Tong Yu's cooperation. Another option was to shoot on land. The Celestial Master sect of Longhu Mountain also cooperated fully. Therefore, he didn't encounter any trouble. Secondly, the plot settings were all within a controllable range. In about 2 weeks, we can finish shooting the material. 2 more weeks. If you're bored, you can go out and play for a while. Steven was very generous this time. After all, he had begged Chen Zhao to go with them. He was mainly worried that the risks would be uncontrollable. After all, they weren't filming humans, but beasts. But now that he had been in contact with Tong Yu for a long time, they soon discovered that Tong Yu was a man in the guise of a beast. His behavior, habits, and the way he spoke were no different from humans. He also had the ability to learn, and he was quite good at it. During the half a month of filming, Tong Yu's English had improved by leaps and bounds. Are you sure you don't need my help here? What can you do to help? You're about to lose your job as a translator. What a heartless fellow. I'll go to Shanghai first then. You'll be there when you're done filming. Okay, let's go. You're the biggest obstacle for the film crew. Steven was burning the bridge after crossing it. The film crew no longer needed Chen Zhao. So, Chen Zhao was naturally expelled. In fact, Steven also knew how bored Chen Zhao was on the mountain. According to Priest Wu, Chen Zhao had gotten himself into quite a bit of trouble. Chen Zhao didn't look like Steven or the rest of the crew. Once he got into work mode, he was completely immersed in the atmosphere of the filming. So, Steven followed Chen Zhao's wishes and chased Chen Zhao away so that he wouldn't cause trouble everywhere. Hearing that Steven wanted him to leave, Chen Zhao was overjoyed. Chen Zhao was never someone who could calm himself down. In the past few days, the quietest time for Chen Zhao was to read books in the Celestial Master Sect's library. Not only did he read them, but he also recorded them with his phone. After all, he needed a lot of things. Then, he printed out the things he recorded. Chen Zhao bought a ticket to Shanghai on the same day. Far away from Dragon Tiger Mountain, even though he had just gotten on the plane, Chen Zhao still felt happy. It was really too stuffy on the mountain. Moreover, Chen Zhao was constantly on guard against the traps Zhang Tianyi had set for him. You never knew when you'd be betrayed by him. It wasn't that Chen Zhao was being petty, but that old man was truly petty. Sir, what can I do for you? The stewardess in business class asked with a smile. Thank you, but I don't need anything for now. Just then, a woman wearing sunglasses walked over. Please excuse me. Thank you. Chen Zhao put his feet down. When the woman passed by, she was slightly stunned. Chen Zhao also noticed her momentary absent-mindedness. However, Chen Zhao didn't recognize her. He felt that she might have mistaken him for someone else. They were speechless on the way. It was only a 2-hour flight. When Chen Zhao got off the plane, Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing came to the airport to pick him up. Boss, let me carry the luggage. No need. Chen Zhao didn't let the two carry his luggage. It wasn't heavy anyway. Boss, is everything done? No, Steven is still filming. I was bored at Dragon Tiger Mountain, so I came to Shanghai to relax. Do you want to go to the hotel first or walk around the city? Yi Ziqing asked. Let's walk around first, Chen Zhao said. How about we go to the company first? Okay, let's go. Chen Zhao paused. It's almost New Year. How about we go buy some stuff and give the employees some benefits? Boss, we already have arrangements. You don't have to spend money. It was mainly because Chen Zhao's gifts were rather scary or expensive. When managing an employee in a company, the higher the benefits, the better it would be. High benefits would make people lose motivation to improve. Therefore, they felt that they should restrict Chen Zhao in this aspect. All right then. Chen Zhao said. How about we give everyone a phone? Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing smiled bitterly. Zhang Ting could only nod. Okay, I'll arrange it later. No need to use the company's account. I'll give it personally. Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing were already used to this result. But now, they knew Chen Zhao's wealth. In terms of actual wealth, even the top 10 Forbes people combined couldn't compare to Chen Zhao. There was no need to mention such a small thing. Just then, Chen Zhao felt a gaze. Chen Zhao turned his head and saw the woman sitting next to him on the plane in the distance. She was looking at him. Wait. Chen Zhao turned back and walked toward the woman. Seeing Chen Zhao, the woman immediately turned and left. She seemed to be intentionally avoiding Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao didn't chase after her. After all, he really didn't know the woman. It would be very rude to chase after her. "Boss, what's wrong?" "No, nothing." Chen Zhao shook his head. Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing had already arranged a car for Chen Zhao. The three went to the animation company together. It was Chen Zhao's second time there. It was different from the first time. When he first came, the animation company was just a small workshop. Now, it had rented an entire floor in the famous business building.
Chapter 3242. Miss Xiao, we found out from the Bureau of Industry and Commerce that the major shareholder of the animation company that rents our 19th floor is that person. His name is Chen Zhao. He's currently developing overseas and we don't know his exact background. So he's in the animation industry. Xiao Jiaqiu rubbed her chin. I also found out from Optoelectronics that they have filed for an animated movie project, and the investment is quite large. It's already underway? Xiao Jiaqiu asked. Yes, it is in progress. Manager Lu, if I want you to terminate the lease contract, how much do you need to pay for the breach of contract? Miss Xiao, the annual rent for their company to rent the floor is 1.2 million yuan, and the contract is for 3 years. If the contract is terminated halfway, they will need to pay double the annual rent. In addition, it will affect our reputation, and the vacancy of the floor is also a loss. It is difficult for us to find a second company who can rent the whole floor in a short time. Xiao Jiaqiu thought for a while and then said, I'll give you 3 million yuan. Cut off their company's water and electricity today and order them to move out of the office building immediately. Manager Lu looked embarrassed. Miss Xiao, I'm very familiar with the chairman of your group, or I can tell him directly, Xiao Jiaqiu said. All right. Manager Lu also had a headache. Their group wasn't a house in a small alley. They were a large conglomerate with a market value of hundreds of billions. If he made a small commotion here, it would be magnified. It would have an impact on the entire group. Lu Yu was the regional manager of Shanghai Feihong Group. He was in charge of 4 office buildings in Shanghai. Basically, the tenants of these office buildings were all under him. Xiao Jiaqiu wasn't an industry insider. She thought she could solve it by opening her mouth. In fact, it was far more troublesome to operate than he had imagined. Did they really think that pulling a switch would solve the problem? If they really did that, any random small company could cause the stock price of one of the top real estate companies in the country to plummet by a few percentage points. What's more, the other party was in the animation industry, so he definitely had contact with the entertainment industry and the media. In this day and age, no matter who you offend, you shouldn't offend the entertainment circle. Of course, Xiao Jiaqiu was also in the entertainment industry. She knew the higher-ups of the company. This was also the reason why Lu Yu gave her face. Of course, he had to give face, but he also had to be skillful. If he really rushed over recklessly, he would probably lose his life. After Xiao Jiaqiu left, Lu Yu began to consider how to deal with this matter. Chief Chen, have you returned to Shanghai? You're really well informed, Chen Zhao teased. I feel more and more like you're a spy.
However, Chen Zhao guessed that Wang He must have heard it from someone close to him. Or he could ask the airline company. Regardless of whether it was within the country or abroad, this kind of information was not difficult to find out. Are you free? When? Up to you. I don't have dinner tonight, Chen Zhao said. How about tonight? All right, I'll book a restaurant. Don't be like last time. Find a Sichuan restaurant. I haven't had Sichuan cuisine for a long time. Sure. Even though Wang He was a big celebrity, it was not difficult for him to find a Sichuan restaurant that offered more privacy. After setting the time, Chen Zhao arrived on time. However, what surprised Chen Zhao was that Wang He had arrived earlier than him. He even brought a friend with him. Boss Chen. Let me introduce you. This is Louis Ba, Wang He said. Hello. Mr. Chen. Hello. Mr. Liu. Chen Zhao recognized Louis Ba. He was not a celebrity, but he liked to be on the news. And it was even entertainment news. He was a tycoon in China and a big real estate developer. Why did he keep appearing on the entertainment news? Because his girlfriends were all celebrities. Of course. He had a good reputation. Before Chen Zhao became famous, Louis Ba was already an influential figure in the entertainment industry. Chen Zhao did not mind getting to know Louis Ba. The three chatted as they ate, from the entertainment industry to the business world. Anyway, they could join in on any topic. It's hard to do business recently, Louis Ba sighed. Boss Liu, you must be joking. You're one of the top tycoons in China. You're saying it's hard to do business. We'll probably have to beg on the streets. I'm in real estate. Recently, the banks have tightened their monetary policy and greatly reduced their lending. All the real estate developers in China are looking for funds. Hearing this, Chen Zhao understood. Why would Wang He bring Louis Ba to this dinner? So he was here to get investors. Boss Liu's company doesn't lack investors, right? Boss Chen. I'll be honest. You have investors? But the money he took was not clean. What if the money entered the company? If the money goes into the company, it'll be discussed at any time, Louis Ba said. At the same time, he looked at Chen Zhao sincerely. Boss Chen, are you interested? It's your company. Or a project. The board of directors doesn't have any plans to increase shares. So it's a single project. What project? The tourism development plan for Big Mystery Island, Louis Ba said. Chen Zhao was confused. He did not know what Big Mystery Island was. Louis Ba took out a document from his bag and handed it to Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao flipped it open. Only now did he know about Big Mystery Island. Big Mystery Island was located in the sea outside of Shanghai. Its location was very similar to Los Angeles and Mysterious Island. From the proposal contained in this document, it could be seen that Big Mystery Island's location was similar to Mysterious Island. Perhaps because of Mysterious Island's success, there was a craze for island development all over the world. It was no exception in China. Developers of all sizes had their eyes on Big Mystery Island. Big Mystery Island did not have any divine artifact creatures. However, it was said that there were immortal treasures. Every few days, there would be vigorous immortal clouds. This kind of scene was very popular in China. In addition, some people with ulterior motives added fuel to the fire, causing Big Mystery Island to become quite popular in China. Of course, there was still a long way to go to turn this popularity into profits. Back then, Mysterious Island's success was also through waves of publicity. Chen Zhao finished reading the document and the proposal. Just then, Louis Ba said, the Shanghai government is bidding for Big Mystery Island. Are you interested in participating, President Qin? How much money does it cost to get the development rights of Big Mystery Island? I'm not sure yet, Louis Ba said. At least 5 billion yuan. I can take out 1 billion myself. I've already raised 2 billion yuan, so I'm still short of 2 billion. If I invest, does that mean I'll have equal shares based on how much I invest? Yes, but if you really get the development rights, you'll also have to invest the same amount in the subsequent development. The estimated total investment is more than 20 billion yuan. Lu Yibo was reminding Qin Zhao not to have money for the bidding. It would be awkward if he did not have the money to develop the island. In other words, if I want to get the remaining shares, I'll need at least 10 billion yuan, right? Mr. Chen, you want the remaining 40%. Chapter 32-43. At first, Lu Yibo had thought that Qin Zhao was just a regular tycoon. After all, Wang He had introduced him to Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao was probably on the same level as Wang He. He also knew almost all the top tycoons in the country. Qin Zhao wasn't one of them. However, he didn't expect Qin Zhao to ask for the remaining 40%. According to this 40%, it would cost at least 2 billion in the early bidding. Moreover, this was just the estimated investment. The money was for the government. If he won the development rights, he would have to invest at least 8 billion in the later stages. This meant that Qin Zhao would have to take out 10 billion in total. This wasn't a small amount. Even Lu Yibo himself had to scrape together the money. He could barely make up 1 billion. The man before him could take out 2 billion in one go without saying a word. Could he be a money launderer? He didn't dare to take this kind of money. Especially when he was investing dirty money into such a large project. A large amount of money could directly cause the project to fail. Mr. Chen, what business do you do? Lu Yibo asked in a roundabout way. I've paid 6 billion in taxes this year, Qin Zhao said. Lu Yibo sucked in a cold breath. What did Qin Zhao do to pay so much taxes? Being able to pay so much meant that Qin Zhao's business was legal. If it was settled in dollars, it should be in Europe or America. Otherwise, Qin Zhao would have heard of it. After all, there were only a few top tycoons in the country. The number of top tycoons every year could be counted on one hand. Lu Yibo looked at Wang He. Wang He nodded. Lu Yibo was much more relieved. His gaze toward Qin Zhao became much more passionate. Mr. Chen, in principle, I agree with your investment, but I have to say that even though you have 40% of the shares, you only have one vote in the shareholders' meeting. I know. Qin Zhao had played with these things before and knew the rules. This rule was mainly made by the founder to prevent his power from being taken over by the major shareholders. The board of directors was formed by all shareholders or agents with more than 5% of the shares. Regardless of whether they had 5%, 10%, or 40% of the shares, they would only have one vote. This was beneficial for the founder so that he wouldn't be kicked out by the major shareholders. Mystical Island used this system too. However, Qin Zhao had 3 votes in the Mystical Island's decisions. Although we have reached an investment agreement, I need to see a more detailed plan. Of course, I understand. I'll give you the project plan tomorrow. Qin Zhao had high hopes for this project. However, what he had seen so far was only a preliminary plan. Before this, Qin Zhao did not even know what kind of place Big Mystery Island was. In order to make a decision, he still needed to hand it over to a professional to evaluate the market. What followed was another round of passionate conversation. In the past, the Lu Yibo that Qin Zhao saw in the entertainment media was a playboy. However, Qin Zhao felt that Lu Yibo's EQ was very high. This was understandable. Without high EQ, it was impossible to have today's assets. Dumbo really couldn't survive in the business world. What he said was very comforting, not the kind of flattery. It was more like a friend teasing, or finding something interesting to say in a humorous tone. President Chen has a child, right? 2. Qin Zhao nodded. Both daughters. Daughters are great, Lu Yibo said, troubled. I have 3 sons. In 20 years, they'll probably have a big family feud. What a headache. President Liu is married. Not really. He had it with his ex-girlfriend. She's the female lead of the super popular mystery, Wang He added. She's Yilin. Chen Zhao had not watched the TV series, but Yilin knew about it. She had been in the industry for more than 10 years and was one of the top actresses in the country. Her main business was TV series. Wang He and Liu Yibo were both people from the entertainment industry. There was no need to talk about Wang He. Almost all of Liu Yibo's girlfriends were female stars, so the two knew the secrets of the entertainment industry like the back of their hands. The 3 mostly talked about the entertainment industry. President Chen, are you free tomorrow? Let's go to Big Mystery Island together. Sure. Chen Zhao had nothing to do anyway. Plus, he had to check out the situation personally before investing. This wasn't a small investment. He couldn't be careless. It was one thing to have high hopes for the project, but he had to be more careful when actually investing. The meal lasted for 3 hours, which also reflected the domestic wine culture, or rather, the wine table culture. Many things were decided over the wine table. However, the 3 didn't drink much. Liu Yibo wanted to invite Chen Zhao and Wang He to play. Chen Zhao still rejected. Liu Yibo vaguely explained the content. Chen Zhao was even less interested. President Liu, I just took a plane today and didn't have time to rest. Maybe another day. Okay. I'm familiar with the Shanghai area. President Chen, contact me whenever you're free. President Chen, I'll go with you. Wang He clearly had something to say to Chen Zhao. After saying goodbye to Liu Yibo, Chen Zhao got into Wang He's car. Wang He spoke first. President Liu is a decent person. He's also capable in business. His family is in politics, so he has both background and ability. President Chen, if you're interested in investing in China, you can ask him. But recently, the local banks have tightened their lending. Everyone is short of money and looking for external capital. Wang He said this to prevent Chen Zhao from misunderstanding. Chen Zhao nodded. But there aren't many good projects. Chen Zhao's investment goal was clear. It was something he could understand. If it was something that only had a concept and no actual product, Chen Zhao definitely wouldn't invest in it. When the concept was converted into profit, it was indeed a huge profit. But in reality, the profit was less than 1 in 10,000. Chen Zhao never bought lottery tickets because he didn't believe in speculation. Speculation and investment were 2 different concepts. I invested some money in that Big Mystery Island project too. Oh, how much? Not much, just 200 million. Chen Zhao couldn't help but look at Wang He. He didn't know that Wang He could save up 200 million in just 2 years. President Chen, do you have extra money? I want to borrow some. How much? How much is convenient for you? You can borrow as much as you want, but it can't be more than 20 times your annual income. Chen Zhao wasn't interested in waiting 20 or 30 years to collect money. No need, not that much. About 100 million is enough. You don't have enough money to invest. Yes, but it's not the Big Mystery Island project. It's a movie I invested in. It's a project of China Film. Chapter 32-44. Just then, Wang He's phone rang. Wang He picked it up and said a few words. After hanging up, he looked at Chen Zhao helplessly. President Chen, I need to go to the studio. Is it convenient for you to go together? I haven't been to your studio yet. Of course, it's my honor. Wang He and Chen Ku's studio was also a rented floor of an office building. It was no smaller than Chen Zhao's animation company. Of course, half of the studio was used as a recording room and practice room. Including some restrooms and washrooms, the real office space was only 1/3. It was already past 10 p.m., but the studio was still brightly lit. Chen Zhao didn't know what they were busy with. They were just busy, and it seemed like they were even busier than the people from the animation company. What exactly are they busy with? Some are in charge of online public opinion and controlling the direction of public opinion. So they're the Internet Water Army? Wang He nodded. Others are in charge of communicating with companies, platforms, and units. Isn't communication just a phone call? President Chen, your thinking is too simple. Even if it's a program invitation, it needs to be very formal. It can't be settled with a phone call. For example, if you invite me to a program, after I agree verbally, I need to reply and sign the contract. Although the text of the contract is similar, the reply needs to be examined word by word. Just then, Zhou Lin jogged out. Brother Wang. Zhou Lin looked at Chen Zhao. President Chen, hello. Hello. Chen Zhao nodded. Ms. Zhou is also a big star. How come you're still here so late? I don't dare to call myself a big star in front of President Chen. Zhou Lin could put on airs before the employees in the company. But she didn't dare to. If Chen Zhao wanted to, he could make her disappear from the entertainment industry in minutes. Actually, I'm here with someone, Zhou Lin said. Just then, a woman wearing sunglasses walked out. Chen Zhao and the woman were both stunned. Jiaqiu, long time no see. Wang He immediately smiled and shook hands with Xiao Jiaqiu. Long time no see. Xiao Jiaqiu glanced at Chen Zhao. This is... Oh, let me introduce you. This is Mr. Chen, my friend and also a shareholder of our studio. Xiao Jiaqiu frowned slightly. I thought your studio should be a little more classy. Xiao Jiaqiu, what do you mean by that? Wang He's expression immediately turned ugly. He'd introduced Chen Zhao to Xiao Jiaqiu out of goodwill. Why did he get such an impolite response? Although Xiao Jiaqiu had a lot of people backing her up, Wang He was not afraid of her. Brother Wang, if you want me to join the studio, my condition is that you transfer his shares to me. Xiao Jiaqiu pointed at Chen Zhao. Her tone was confident. She was an A-list actress in the country. She might not have made any achievements in the movie industry. However, TV dramas were definitely the queen of viewership, and she knew many people in the TV industry. She knew very well that Wang He's studio was currently lacking people from the small screen circle. Wang He and Chen Ku were both movie stars, but there were also other small-time celebrities in their studio, such as Zhou Lin. No matter how capable Wang He was, it was impossible for him to bring her along in every movie. There were more opportunities on the small screen than on the big screen. If she joined the studio, she could bring a lot of resources to the TV industry. Then, the artists in the studio could follow her and get some small roles. Moreover, if the studio wanted to shoot a TV series, she could also get investors and find scripts. She thought that she had a huge advantage. She believed that Wang He knew how to choose between her and Chen Zhao. However, she clearly did not understand the situation. Xiao Jiaqiu, are you mistaken about something? Wang He was so angry that he laughed. That's right. Finding Xiao Jiaqiu was an important part of their development plan. However, she was not irreplaceable. There were plenty of female celebrities in the TV industry, and there was more than one who had the same status as her. She was one of the 4 most popular actresses in China. Without Xiao Jiaqiu, would the studio not be able to develop? However, Chen Zhao was really irreplaceable. Not to mention Chen Zhao's wealth, not to mention that he was a shareholder of the studio. Chen Zhao could not give up on the Hollywood resources in his hands. Just half a month ago, Chen Zhao had brought Steven to talk to him. Then, he had gotten an important role. Many A-list celebrities in the country kept calling him. They all wanted to find a way to get to know Steven. He had not acted in a movie yet, but his status had increased. Chen Ke was the same. She was already a Chinese A-list celebrity. She was more than one level higher than Xiao Jiaqiu. Xiao Jiaqiu was willing to join their studio. She was also interested in the Hollywood resources in their studio. This was the only resource in the country. Xiao Jiaqiu had reached the end of her career in the TV industry. Therefore, she desperately wanted to move to the big screen. If she could participate in a Hollywood movie, it would also help her stabilize her position as a movie star. But when they reached the studio, Chen Zhao said something so strange. Yet, he said such baffling words. Xiao Jiaqiu's expression darkened. Wang He, you have to think this through. Without me, your studio will not be able to make a single step in the TV industry. Xiao Jiaqiu's expression immediately turned ugly. Wang He, you better think this through. Without me, your studio will find it hard to advance in the television industry. Miss Xiao, do we know each other? Xiao Jiaqiu's expression darkened. Chen Zhao touched his nose. Miss Xiao, do we know each other? No. You're targeting me just because you don't know me. Do you think I'm easy to bully? Okay, since your studio is not sincere, I won't stay here anymore. Xiao Jiaqiu turned to leave. Wang He gave Zhou Lin a look. Zhou Lin quickly said, Sister Jiaqiu, I'll walk you out. Zhou Lin was also a female celebrity, but before Xiao Jiaqiu, she still felt like a servant. Sister Jiaqiu, slow down. Zhou Lin followed Xiao Jiaqiu into the elevator. Sister Jiaqiu, do you know Mr. Qin? No, Xiao Jiaqiu said coldly. What is your brother Wang thinking? Am I worse than that minor shareholder? Sister Jiaqiu, you really don't know Mr. Qin. To Zhou Lin, Xiao Jiaqiu was confused. Minor shareholder. You called Chen Zhao a minor shareholder? Well, compared to Chen Ke and Wang He's shares, Chen Zhao's shares were indeed nothing. But the meaning was different. If it were her, she would make the same choice. She would rather offend Xiao Jiaqiu than lose a minor shareholder like Chen Zhao. Chapter 32:45. Jiaqiu, did Mr. Chen offend you? No, I just don't like him. Jiaqiu. Zhou Lin hesitated. Xiao Jiaqiu glanced at Zhou Lin. Just say it. Brother Wang and Sister Chen established this studio because of Mr. Chen. Him. Chen Ke knows him too. He's Sister Chen's cousin. Also, he's the one who got the Hollywood resources, so Brother Wang and Sister Chen can't be on your side. He has Hollywood resources. Xiao Jiaqiu's eyes widened. Only then did she understand why Wang He had rejected her request in front of everyone. Furthermore, he had said it so vehemently. If it were her, she would probably give the same answer. Xiao Jiaqiu's expression was ugly. She felt that she had humiliated herself this time. What does he do? I don't know, but I think he's very close to Mr. Steven. Plus, he got Brother Wang and Sister Chen's Hollywood roles with one sentence. Xiao Jiaqiu's expression grew even uglier. She had verbally agreed to Wang He's invitation. It was because of the Hollywood resources of their studio. In the end, she had offended the backing of the studio. Jiaqiu, no matter what grudge you have with Mr. Qin, you should let it go. Zhou Lin's tone was sincere. After all, they were all in the entertainment industry. Xiao Jiaqiu had asked Wang He to make a choice right in front of the shareholders. Even if he was an ordinary person, Wang He wouldn't agree to Xiao Jiaqiu's request. The more Xiao Jiaqiu thought about it, the angrier she got. Wang He didn't tell her about such an important matter. He had lost all face on the spot. Zhou Lin walked Xiao Jiaqiu to her car. Sitting in the car, Xiao Jiaqiu suddenly heard another voice in her head. Woman, why must you find trouble with him? He doesn't seem to recognize you. Didn't you say he's dead? Why is he still alive? How would I know? Maybe the Taoist from Dragon Tiger Mountain solved the problem first. If he recognizes me and knows that I'm a star, I'm doomed. He'll make unreasonable demands. You'll only attract his attention. He's a rich man, and he's also in the entertainment industry. This means that if he exposes my affairs, I'll be in a lot of trouble. Unless he can go bankrupt, his words will lose the way to spread. Xiao Jiaqiu said. The resources of this society were all in the hands of the rich. If a rich person wanted to spread a piece of news, he only needed to spend some money to buy a page, and the whole world would know about it the next day. As for an ordinary person or a poor person, their voice could only travel 100 meters at most. Xiao Jiaqiu did not know what to do with Qin Zhao either. She had to protect her reputation. Plus, Qin Zhao had entertainment resources. Xiao Jiaqiu became even more nervous. The only good news was that Qin Zhao didn't recognize her. However, she couldn't do anything to Qin Zhao. Although she was a celebrity, she was still a celebrity. Without any real power.
Plus, Qin Zhao wasn't a clay statue that she could do whatever she wanted. Or you can ask him out alone and let me eat him. Xiao Jiaqiu's eyes flickered. This could be considered the last option. But now, her relationship with Orochi was more complicated. She had been restraining the serpent. She didn't care how many innocent people the snake ate. But she was worried that it would implicate her. So, until the last moment, she didn't want to use any other methods. President Shen, a friend, came to Shanghai. He asked if you want to meet him. Friend? I know him. Yes, you do. Then let's meet him, Qin Zhao said, nodding. Zhou Lin had been following beside him, but Wang He said, Zhou Lin, go home first. President Shen and I are going to meet a friend. Can I go with you? Zhou Lin was very obedient. She wanted to interact with Qin Zhao more. Maybe she could get some benefits from him. Not convenient. Wang He rejected her request directly. Fine, I'll wait for you at home. Wang He drove Qin Zhao to a villa community. Then they took a few turns in the community. Knock, knock. The door opened. Qin Zhao indeed knew the person who opened the door. It was Imo Han. A year ago, he had almost made Qin Zhao lose control and Qin Zhao had almost killed him. Mr. Chen. Imo Han's expression was a bit stiff. In fact, he already knew that Qin Zhao would come. But when facing Qin Zhao, he still felt a bit awkward. After all, he knew how terrifying Qin Zhao was. Tearing a demon king with his bare hands was something that could be done in minutes. Fortunately, they reconciled in the end. He was now running a security company and Qin Zhao also had shares. More accurately, he was working for Qin Zhao now. His first job was Wang He, whom Qin Zhao had introduced. After that, Imo Han and Wang He got to know each other better. In a year, the security company had developed quite well. It was already on the right track. Most of the security personnel were still in charge of ordinary jobs. They were bodyguards for rich people and solved some small problems. Of course, he also took on some special jobs. Long time no see. Aren't you going to invite us in? Ah, please come in. Chen Zhao entered Imo Han's place and saw that there was another woman in the house. He didn't know if she was wearing makeup or not. She looked average except that she was a bit tall. My girlfriend, Zhao Li. She's also in the industry, Imo Han introduced. Zhao Li nodded at Chen Zhao. She probably didn't know Chen Zhao. Imo Han probably didn't mention the past to her. She was quite familiar with Wang Yi. Wang Yi probably came here often. Let's sit down and talk. Li, get us some wine, Imo Han said. Zhao Li brought some wine over and sat beside Imo Han. How's business recently? Mr. Chen, the security company's business is doing well, but there aren't many special jobs. Last quarter's profit was about 1 million yuan. Alright, let's not talk about business.
Chen Zhao waved his hand. Imo Han really didn't know what to talk about other than business when facing Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao was giving him too much pressure. Zhao Li seemed to feel Imo Han's restraint when facing Chen Zhao. Imo Han, are you free tomorrow? President Chen and I are going to Big Mystery Island tomorrow. How about you come with us? Sure. Imo Han didn't reject. Chen Zhao stood up and walked to the counter in the living room. Why is your decoration so weird? Why are the things here so creepy? Chen Zhao started fiddling with the bottles and jars, looking at them and touching them. These are Li's collection. Zhao Li bit her lower lip. She didn't like strangers touching her collection. Oh, I've seen this before. Chen Zhao picked up a deformed finger soaked in liquid. The finger of 100 refined devil corpse. There's no second 100 refined devil corpse in this world. I heard that the refining method has been lost. Where did you see it? Zhao Li clearly didn't believe Chen Zhao. Chapter 32-46. Chen Zhao took out a blood-red hand. Wang He knew that Chen Zhao was also a cultivator. He had heard Imo Han mention this before. The fingers on the blood-red palm were very similar to the fingers of Zhao Li's refined devil corpse. However, there was an obvious difference. Chen Zhao's finger was red, while Zhao Li's was black. This is the 1,000-year corpse devil, right? Where did this come from? Zhao Li was obviously a knowledgeable person. She recognized it at a glance. Not to mention that this 1,000-year corpse demon was rarely seen in the world, even if it were to appear, it would be unparalleled. Mr. Chen, do you carry this with you? You even said that Imo Han's house is so creepy and creepy. I think you're the one who's even more creepy, Wang He could not help but retort. Do you sell this? How much is it? Zhao Li stared at the blood-colored demonic palm in Chen Zhao's hand, her eyes shining. I didn't bring any gifts this time, Chen Zhao said, smiling. It's not rude to use this as a gift, right? Imo Han guessed that this thing was probably another of Chen Zhao's spoils of war. With his understanding of Chen Zhao, this was very likely. Chen Zhao's status meant that the circle he came into contact with was different from ordinary circles like theirs. The 1,000-year-old corpse demon was rare in the eyes of ordinary cultivators, but not necessarily in Chen Zhao's eyes. In fact, powerhouses were always in the minority, and powerful monsters were also in the minority. Zhao Li's collection was quite rich. It was just that its grade was a little low. What kind of teeth are these? Double-legged dragons from the west. What about this? The soul crystal of the white knight vile soul. What about this? Mr. Chen, are you interested in these things? I can introduce you to an organization that specializes in hunting them. When there's an operation, we'll bring you along. Forget it. Chen Zhao shook his head. He was just curious, but that didn't mean he was interested. Chen Zhao had a lot of his own collections, but most of them were extremely valuable. Moreover, Chen Zhao would never display these things at home. Anyway, Chen Zhao felt that it would be really hard to leave something like this in the house. Especially when Chen Zhao had a kid at home. Larissa would put anything in her mouth. Even if it was something that looked terrifying. In her eyes, it was also a delicacy. You really don't want to. Actually, if everyone moves together, it's not that dangerous. Zhao Li thought that he was worried about safety. My life is very valuable. I don't like to take risks. All right. Zhao Li was a little disappointed. Mo Han rolled his eyes. He didn't tell Zhao Li how powerful Chen Zhao was. If they really teamed up to fight some monsters. Even if Zhao Li and everyone else in the team died, Chen Zhao wouldn't die. After Chen Zhao and Wang He left, Zhao Li said in a disdainful tone. That Chen guy is too timid. Where do you think the 1,000-year-old corpse devil's palm came from? Where did it come from? Of course he killed the 1,000-year-old corpse devil himself. What else could it be? How is that possible? A 1,000-year-old corpse demon is a legendary demonic creature. Even for cultivators like us, we would need to form a team of over 100 cultivators to deal with it. Not even Celestial Master Zhang from Dragon Tiger Mountain has complete confidence in dealing with it. Mo Han said, he and Celestial Master Zhang are of the same generation. How is this possible? Could it be that he looks young, but is actually in his 70s or 80s? No, it's just because his cultivation is very high, Mo Han said indifferently. So be careful in front of him in the future. He doesn't have a good temper. Although Mo Han said so, Zhao Li still didn't believe it. Chen Zhao didn't look like a master no matter how she looked at him. Moreover, he was at the top level like Mo Han said. Out of all the top cultivators she knew, which one of them didn't have the demeanor of a sage? The next day, Mo Han and Zhao Li arrived at the hotel Chen Zhao was staying at. Mr. Chen, Zhao Li and I are already at the hotel. Oh, you're here so early. Come to my room first. I'm eating breakfast. When the two arrived at Chen Zhao's room, they saw that the table was filled with food. Mr. Chen, you're eating so much so early. It's a habit of mine. Sit down and eat, Chen Zhao said. Then we won't stand on ceremony. Mo Han and Zhao Li looked at the mountain of food disappearing at an alarming speed. The two were speechless. Chen Zhao had probably eaten enough food for them for a month. But this was only Chen Zhao's breakfast. After half an hour, Chen Zhao finally cleared all the food. Mr. Chen, when are we leaving? You guys rest for a while. Someone will inform me when it's time. Soon, Wang He also arrived at the hotel. At 10 in the morning, Lu Yibo called. He even sent a car to pick Chen Zhao up. The car sent Chen Zhao and the others to the dock. Then, they boarded a yacht. Mr. Chen, how was your rest last night? Lu Yibo walked up and greeted Chen Zhao warmly. Not bad. Chen Zhao looked at the dock that was slowly moving away. Are we taking this yacht to Big Mystery Island? Yes, there's no direct transportation right now. We can only go there by ourselves, Lu Yibo said. How about my yacht? Very good. Then you can have this yacht, Mr. Chen. Well, it's okay. I have a yacht. Chen Zhao's family had 2 yachts. The smaller yacht was 10 times the size of this yacht, and the larger yacht was more than 10 times the size of this yacht. Mr. Chen, you don't have to be so polite. If you're afraid of trouble, I can help you send the yacht overseas. Boss Lu, it's really okay. I really have a yacht. Boss Lu, Mr. Chen is telling the truth. His yacht is 10 times bigger than this one. He had boarded Chen Zhao's small yacht. Okay. Lu Yiba was a bit awkward. Thank you, Boss Lu. The yacht wasn't a super yacht, but it was quite big. However, the scale was still quite large, with a length of nearly 20 meters. The interior was also very grand. In terms of price, it was estimated to cost 20 to 30 million yuan. Next time I go to America, I really need to visit Mr. Chen and see his yacht. In terms of enjoyment, the rich people in China had the best 20 to 30 years of success. Therefore, the rich people in China usually played with the leftovers of the rich foreigners. Nowadays, the rich foreigners didn't like yachts and private jets the most. Instead, they liked raising wild animals. Their favorite was racing horses, which could easily cost millions. In short, the rich foreigners only played with one thing, things that could be invested and appreciated. Most rich people cashed in their toys while playing. A nouveau riche like Chen Zhao couldn't keep up with this. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.